and welcome to the Beetle and Grimm's Pandemonium Warehouse Shopping Network. Shipping Goblin Bob here is going to tell you all about our new Platinum Edition. It's my favorite.
Thanks, George. Friends, are you tired of putting a cat, a flask of poison, and a source of radiation into a sealed box and having to settle for a cat that's dead or alive? Well, Beetle and Grimm's Pandemonium Warehouse has the product for you. Introducing the Schrodinger's Cat Platinum Edition. With the Schrodinger's Platinum Box, you can have both versions of your pet at the same time. Free yourself from objective collapse and enjoy a cat that simultaneously exists in two decoherent realities. It's time for atomic indeterminacy to enter the macroscopic domain. It's time for Schrodinger's Cat Platinum Edition.
Yeah. She's totally dead. But totally alive.
Only from Beetle and Grimm's Pandemonium Warehouse. Simultaneously available and sold out now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to the Mythic North. And we'll be diving into that shortly, but for now, hi everyone, I'm Elle. Lovely to see you all here. Pleasure to have you all joining us. Welcome to Band of Badgers. Tonight we'll be diving into VAESEN. We are diving into episode 2 of the Dance of Dreams mystery. And I won't be doing this just by myself. I have a bunch of fantastical players here with me. I will go around everybody and everyone will introduce themselves. Feel free to drop in your pronouns and where people can find you on the internet as well. We will start with you today, Joe.
Hi, my name's Joe and I am playing Father Pavel. I'm a good demon honest on Discord, Twitch, Twitter, etc. So yeah.
Fantastic. Seb.
Yo, Seb's the name, role plays my game, better known as Plasticity in these quarters. I'm be playing the lovely Dr. Anki Salo, and I look forward to watching us all hopefully not die.
No promises. Holly.
Hi, I'm Holly. I am she her, and I am playing Esther, the adorable bundle of and this is Cassie, the bundle of Fluff. There we go. Fluff, come here. Fluff, who is playing Tova. Hello, you're not interested, are you? There you go. Oh, and you can find me on YouTube as In the Air. And am I okay to post a link to that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Cool. I will chuck a link in for that.
And Stacey.
Hello, I'm Ree. You can find me as Romeo Indigo Echo most places, recreates in other places, and occasionally in swamps.
Occasionally in swamps.
Occasionally
I love
in
that.
swamps.
And confirm.
And our wonderful special guest joining us for the second time, LEIA.
Hello. I'm LEIA. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram as Sorceress Sundry. I have an Etsy shop, Sorceress Sundries, multiple sundries. And as well, you can find me on Facebook as Sorceress Sundries as well. I play Selby Halvig, and I'm super happy to be here. Really excited to not die.
Awesome. Again, no promises. But yeah, welcome to all the viewers as well. This is the continuation of our story, King Hunt, today. And we have dropped our players kind of in the middle of a little predicament. So we will get back to that shortly. But for now, a little OC announcement. VAESEN is a spooky game full of spooky things and spooky times. Some things may crop up which are distressing or gory or dealing with themes that people might find a little uncomfortable. Should that happen, I will flash my lights red like this, and that will be your cue to go and get a cup of tea or step away for a moment. No judgment, just come back in a couple minutes and all will be well, if that is not your jam. Once again, thanks to all of our supporters, including Beetle and Grimm's and the wonderful Free League, the publisher behind VAESEN. Speaking of which, we will have a giveaway from them at the break, as well as an interview with the ever wonderful Leia Robertson, so stick around for that. But for the meantime, let us once again dive into the mythic north, where we find our players in a spot of bother. And today we will be starting on the red lights. So I will leave those up. Last time, our Thursday's children found themselves on the cusp of an enticing new mystery. The first, actually, that they'd been entrusted with since moving into the Society's headquarters at Castle Gillencruz. They were summoned to the Witch Cat Inn by one Olaus Clint and met a new friend in Selby, who had been sent by Detective Knight with a very similar summons that the players themselves received. Upon receiving this, they all made their way over to the Witch Cat, having gathered a lot of interesting information on what they might possibly face there, a decrepit inn by the town of Sigtuna. They began to realize that something is deeply, deeply wrong in this place. Olaus revealed to you that there had been rumors of a haunting, and having worked within the society out of Gillenkrautz before, he turned to you all for help in solving the problem. Between the apparent haunting that sent the cat's patrons, including Olaus, into a deep sleep, and the abuse of Sammy the innkeeper towards his daughter, things at the cat were certainly not ideal. But even in the midst of the lamps and the fires dimming to a cold, sickly blue and everyone falling asleep, the innkeeper fleeing into the gardens with a cry of, "Nora!" you all still found the time to entertain a little girl's desire to put on for you a Dance of Dreams shadow play. To bring you all back into the scene at hand, you are sitting in front of a vast mechanical shadow theatre on rows of ramshackle seats that have been made out of boxes and bits of linen that have been cobbled together, having heard this deeply dark and haunting tale and seen the unsettling movements of the puppets casting dark bruise-like movements across this backdrop. And everything suddenly slows to a halt as Sophia finishes the story of a young man whose life had been cruelly ended by the man he thought loved him and his friends. In this very inn, the dark shadows of the puppets stop their jerky movements abruptly as the crank ceases to turn. Tears have begun to stream down Sophia's face in an uncontrollable stream, and she is staring unseeingly at a spot in the ceiling above you all. From behind the screen, there is a shuffling noise and a sharp tearing sound as a talon-like finger rips apart the backdrop down the middle. Moving disjointedly, like his joints are all in the wrong place beneath his skin, is a stinking, rotting corpse that begins to pull itself through the tear. Its desiccated body is dripping flesh and gore, and the rotted straps of its once fine clothing are falling off of it. Its lungs pull at the air with a disgusting pain struggle, making for a high-pitched wheeze like nails down a blackboard. And faster than should be possible with the horror of its movements, it lunges at you all. Can everybody please roll me a fear test versus difficulty 2? So that's your logic
wonderful.
or empathy. Straight out the gate, absolutely.
Okay. Right.
Great L in the sky.
Yo,
Would this be where the talent from the background of our dear Dr. Salo would apply with regards to this particular fear test? Because of the talent of Army Medic background, gain +2 to fear tests when frightened by dead or damaged human bodies.
you know what? Yeah, absolutely, this counts.
Wonderful.
Cool.
So how is it one does a fear test again? Sorry.
Logic or empathy, roll as many dice as equal to that pool, and tell me if you get any successes.
The success was a 6, right?
Indeed it was.
I got one.
Yay, I got one.
Indeed, same.
Okay, everybody got one?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is an interesting thing about fear tests in VAESEN. You have a different ranking level depending on how scary the thing is. This is a difficulty test fear 2. So despite having one success, you will still sustain one condition off the back of this. Those who are already frightened become hopeless.
Oh no.
Those who have not yet gained a condition become frightened. So those of you who are frightened, you see this distressing, terrible image and you find your breath hitching in your throat and you can't quite breathe and you can't quite figure out how to breathe and you can't remember and you find yourself panicking and backing up against the wall and trying to stay in the room and stay in the moment and gather your thoughts. Those of you who are a little bit further along, you find yourself staring at this entity, this creature, and you can't find the will within you to fight it. What's the point? What is the point? And you feel that hopelessness begin to take root in your soul. This entity, it happens in a split second. It lunges at you, talons out, going to rake across you, and darts past you into the back of the attic. You all swivel, trying to see where it went, trying to see where it might come from next, but it's gone. And as you're all looking around, you hear a dull thud behind you as Sophia drops to the floor.
Run over to Sophia.
Okay. Everyone who's running over to Sophia, make a logic and medicine or empathy and medicine test, please.
Could I do this despite my hopelessness?
Of course you can.
Yes.
That condition will not stop you acting, I see. It is just a fluff thing until you have a little more of a problem.
Well, if I remember correctly, it takes 3 conditions for your character to essentially be...
it is 3 and then an additional one of that type to take you across to broken. So it's not 3 and then immediately broken.
Okay. That's
Marvelous.
slightly...
I did not pass that roll.
You didn't pass, okay. Right, those of you rolling medicine?
Yes, please. Medicine is precision plus logic, correct?
Exactly.
Bum-ba-dum.
While Anki rolls that, I just want to note that Selby has probably got their rifle up and aimed at the back, probably still looking for wherever the creature has gone.
Okay, so Selby's on the lookout.
Mhm.
I would like to declare using the advantage garnered from the preparation for this particular
Amazing.
medicine roll.
Great, add an extra 2 dice to your roll then.
I shall, because whilst the cloud of hemorrhage of awfulness may be a hopeless endeavor, 3 successes for this might not be.
Whoa, 3 successes,
Nice.
fantastic.
Can I just add, even though I failed, do I get to help that?
Yes, yeah, you do. So essentially you guys together, you run over. Esther, you sort of pull this girl onto your lap and you're sort of comforting her as she's sort of reeling. She seems to have knocked herself for 6. Essentially, Dr. Ankri, you're sort of looking her over. She is exhausted. She is absolutely exhausted. She is displaying all the signs of a person who has not had a good night's sleep in weeks, if not months. This is very late stage exhaustion at this point, and she has very clearly just her mind can't take what's going on around her, and so has shut down in an attempt to try and preserve any semblance of correct function. And yeah, and you can tell that from where she hit her head as well, that was it's like a nasty bruise there.
Esther, hold her steady. Also, where is your dog? Something excellent. It would behoove to be, not academically speaking, but please apply Tova to this girl.
Esther, you apply dog? Fantastic. 20 cc's of dog to the patient. Great.
Certainly in shock, needs dog.
Yeah, you absolutely sort of pet Tova down beside her. You're still sort of shaking, and Tova's looking really worried up at you every now and again, sort of licking your hand and trying to convince you everything's okay, because she's noticed that you're not doing so great. But she does notice when you've put down next to this girl, and she starts sort of trying to paw at Sophia and sort of lick her, nuzzle up against her side. And eventually her eyes sort of roll back and she blinks a couple times and sort of looks around confused at all of you. And she just says, what happened? Did I hit my head? Ow.
Whilst very much true, that is the least of the worries at the moment. Although the fact that you are awake is a good thing.
Is it though?
Until proven otherwise, yes, Ingrid.
Did you like the show at least?
To a point.
Not sure about the ending.
I mean, it's what he told me to write.
Who told you to write that?
The man in my dreams. I walk with him every night and he tells me his story.
was his name?
His name's Oscar. Oscar Hjort. I don't know much about him after that. I know he came here and that somebody hurt him, but I don't think he left.
That seems to be an understatement. For what it's worth, it was very well craftspersonship.
Thank you. It's been difficult to get all the parts and stuff together, but yeah.
Is that the complete story then? Do you have all of it?
I don't know. You see, when I started having these dreams, I asked Mum, and she said that maybe Oscar was the ghost, because she was looking into it at the time. You see, she was looking into the haunting and everything, or what like she thought was a haunting, and Daddy didn't like that at all. He got really angry about it a lot, and they had a lot of fights. But she had a lot of the notes on it and everything, and I wasn't allowed to look in there because she had a big library and I wasn't allowed to go in, and that's it was private and stuff. But Dad just sort of locked the door and he's not let anyone in since.
Are those the note? Is that in the room that looked very much locked and very much undisturbed? Yeah. Okay.
Well, that gives us something to go on.
Well, there's that, and then also Sammy ran out the door when everybody dropped.
Which
He
means
said something about Nora. Oh God, no, Nora.
I'm assuming that's the wife.
That's Mum's name.
Ah, wonderful. At least there is some display of emotion for the man that is not necessarily all hatred. There is also fear.
Maybe guilt.
Perhaps.
He wasn't always like that. He wasn't always like this. We were happy once, but Mum met someone a while back and they started seeing each other more often, and Dad didn't like him very much. And then eventually when she went away, she talked about going to meet this man that she was seeing, and then that she would come back for me and that I would have a new dad.
You know the name of this man that she was seeing?
Marcus, yeah.
Marcus.
He was part of a circus troupe.
Marcus from the circus. Very interesting.
I could have been part of a circus troupe.
It looked like fun. Did a lot of gymnastic-y stuff. He taught me how to do backflips.
I would recommend refraining from that in your particular condition as of now.
That's fair. Ow.
For one sad, when was the last time you actually slept?
It's hard to say. I don't really sleep anymore, I just dream.
And this, what I can only presume, until otherwise proven to be potentially Oscar, that may have visited us this night. Is that something that has happened before? Has he run off away from you?
He's always really nice to me. I don't know why he's being like this. He's not normally this angry.
Do you always see Oscar like this? In that state?
He's never like that. He's always he's the same coat though, but
Oh, I mean, like physically. Like, do you, not just in dreams, did you see, and Selby points to like where the creature like went off to?
yeah, she sort of nods and sort of pushes herself up so she's sort of sat up and looks around at you all. Yeah, he sometimes shows himself and stuff. Sometimes we go on walks, not in dreams. But then I'm not entirely sure those are real either.
Where do you go on walks to?
Usually it's in the garden. He seems to really like the conservatory and the root cellar. But he doesn't go in the cellar. because whenever I try to go near it, he shakes his head. He doesn't really talk, but he shakes his head. He's got I don't really like to bring it up because it seems rude, but he's got an owie right here on his neck.
Well, if it means anything to you, Sophia, dear, we are not trying to be rude to Oscar. We are trying to, for lack of a better term, set a situation straight to make unwrong whatever has happened here as much as possible, I would say. Looks around to others. I believe the first step of that, by the way, Father Pavel, is that you lend me your wine.
I think what we can draw from this is something very bad happened to Oscar. And maybe the shadow play upset him, and that's why he ran off. But we'd like to help him, I think.
Okay.
I think we could all do with a glass, and what I'll do is, instead of giving you my wine, I'll walk downstairs to the bar, and as it's empty, try to find a more expensive looking bottle than what I've got in my pocket.
First up, you do not go downstairs alone.
Fantastic.
Yeah, he's not going down alone. I'm also leaving this place. It's creepy.
I'd say, do we want to check and see what happened maybe to the father? Because he ran out the back.
Does anybody really care?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm curious as to see why he was calling for his wife.
Okay.
Maybe he's
right.
Seeing his
if she's gone.
Maybe she's not as gone as he led Sophia to believe.
Maybe we shouldn't have this conversation in front of a child.
A good point.
Does Sophia look again?
Sophia's about 16. She's sort of wide-eyed, but she doesn't look too distressed about any of what's happening. Sort of, even as you discuss Nora and Sammy, she doesn't look particularly upset about it. And if anything, she sort of nestles into your side closer, Esther, sort of clings onto your arm.
Just absently, sort of stroking her hair, just trying to keep her calm.
Yeah.
And Tova is just sort of nuzzling.
I mean, it's not like I think we should let her know this, but technically by this point she's been exposed to more of this weirdness than any of us, making her the veteran.
Speak for yourself, Doctor.
When do I do anything else?
There's a possibility that if we hear the whole story and if we understand what happened to Oscar, that might sort of complete unfinished business, if that is what this is. Or, right some wrongs.
Yes.
Well,
I might have some extra information that might help fill in some gaps, but it does kind of leave a couple of questions in my own mind as well.
I think a lot of those questions will be answered in that locked room, or if we find Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
So, just for reference for you all, if you are going with the plan that Father Pavel and Dr. Anki are suggesting of going to the bar and finding maybe some liquid courage to fortify yourselves for the rest of this adventure, then that actually would count for you as if you can find sort of a safe place to hunker down for a scene, then you could perhaps try and heal yourself of some of the bad juju knocking around in your skull a little bit. Try and feel a little bit better about your situation with some healing rolls. So if you would like to do that, then we can absolutely do that.
That would be very much delightful.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay, so you all sort of head down to the bar area. Esther, once again, Sophia is sticking to you like glue at this point. She's sort of clinging onto your arm, letting herself be led along. But you do all sort of lead your way down into the bar and sort of finding your way around. Father Pavel and Dr. Anki, Old hat, easy enough. You know exactly where this man would keep the really, really good shit, especially because of the kind of innkeeper he is. He's a dodgy, old, cantankerous bastard, and he definitely has a hidey hole where the good stuff is. Oh, thank you, Stacey. My lights. This is not that scary stuff is over. We're fine now. For now.
If you don't mind, the best part was I did it to the tune of Roxanne.
Wonderful.
It was fantastic. But yeah, you do go down and you find in one of the these hidey holes, you sort of stomp on the floor until you find a loose floorboard, pull it up, and you find like a really nice vintage red that has clearly been down here for like a while. There's like a few bottles of it, so you take all of that. The people are not waking up in here is another thing. As you walk past, you very much notice sort of Olaus is still laid out, knocked out for 6 on the floor. Jonathan, the lady, and the priest are all still very much out for the count. Sophia sort of tugs on your arm, Esther, and just says, maybe the attic would be the safest place at this point.
I mean, maybe. Some things did just come from the attic, but if you feel safer there, then I'm sure we can take our refreshments upstairs.
Okay.
I think a corner surely would be better. Somewhere where we can see the doors.
I mean, if we can break into that
A
room
locked
that's locked,
room. Yeah.
if we could break into that room that's locked, that's just one door we have to worry about.
Sophia, do you know where your father kept the keys?
He always had them on him.
I have a question.
Yes.
I may have an answer. It might even be right.
The other religious dude, is he asleep on the floor?
Yes.
No, he is on his table and sort of slumped over.
Okay, so he's asleep.
Yeah.
Was he the kind of religious dude that had like one of those little white collary things?
Yeah. Oh no, that's an idea face. I don't like that. That causes me concern.
Ingrid would like to go over and take the little white collary thing.
Easy enough. He's asleep.
She's then going to tuck it on her own little thing, and she's going to go stand next to Father Pavel and kind of... just to see if he notices.
Yeah, I would just be like, I knew this was coming.
Yeah, I mean, you all absolutely watch Ingrid just walk with purpose over to a priest, steal his, like, necktie, strap it on her own neck, and just stride over to Father Pavel and strike a pose. Like, it's not subtle.
It's very much
I remember-
unlikely to pick up a spiritual cause, but okay.
Or if we don't feel like, so I feel like Selby would have watched this, but continuing with their train of thought, if we don't feel like kicking in the door to the Nora's study or library, Anki, I believe you have keys that Anjali gave you when she asked us about rooms.
Yeah, you do have your room key on you, yeah.
I do have some amount of keys, yes.
We could commandeer one of those rooms.
Well, yes, although I think Sophia does have a salient point with regards to seizing the attic, as whatever has come out of it now no longer is there, and it is the highest ground available, which in my experience is something to desire. But by all means, Selby, tosses the keys over to you. If it is not entirely untoward whilst you discuss this, I would very much just to see if there's anything medically wrong with these motions to motionless people.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure they're not actually, you know...
I getcha.
You mean
I
dead?
getcha.
Yes,
Are you asking if they're
I
dead?
mean dead.
I just wanted to double check because it was not very clear.
I forget if I've asked you if you've ever proceeded over hangings. Never mind.
Okay, so what are you all
Only
doing?
once, and it was a mistake.
Oh.
I'm taking Sophia up to the attic.
Okay, all right. You're headed up to the attic. Cool. The rest of you, what are you doing?
My hypocritical oath demands of me that I actually check that these people are legitimately not dead or in any immediate danger.
Okay.
It's hypocritical because I only apply when I feel like it.
Yep, sure. In that case, please, roll me your precision and medicine. And the rest of you, are you headed up to the rooms?
Any chance is one of our rooms next to the room that's locked?
Yeah, it is actually.
And how thick are the walls?
Brilliant idea. We could use your head.
I will give you a roll for it. So whilst our lovely Dr. Anki is examining everybody in the tavern proper, and our lovely writer friend is escorting Sophia up to the attic, Selby and Father Pavel make your way up to the first floor to begin to let yourself into this room. It's sort of a sparse, Spartan-looking place. You know, there's a bed, there's a bedside table, there's sort of a straw mattress and a rough cover over. It looks, you know, it's comfortable. It's fine. It'll do. But as you sort of look at the wall, you sort of tap on it, try and examine it a little bit closer. Let's have you, both of you, if you will, if you're helping Selby.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm all about this.
So what we will do for this then is I will say make me a logic investigation check, whichever one has the better stats for it, and whichever one rolls will get an extra dice for the other person's help.
I don't have investigation, but I do have a 4 in logic. So I don't know what you have.
Investigation. So you do the skill plus the attribute, right?
Attribute plus skill, yes.
Yes. So I've got 6 in total.
Okay. So if Selby helps you, you'll have 7. So please roll me a pool of 7 dice, Father Pavel.
Cool.
I'm not rolling, right?
No, you're fine. You're included into Father Pavel's roll.
Okay.
When you need the results from the medicine, just let me know.
Unfortunately, got a bunch of 5s, so I hit the wall and I'm not able to make it through.
If you would like to, you can always choose to push your luck, where you can choose to re-roll your failures, but you will take a condition depending on what you decide to do.
Okay.
So it depends on you if you would like to risk taking another condition at this point.
Did we lose our last one for finding the wine and whatnot?
You haven't actually had that yet, no.
Cool. Yeah, go on then. Why not?
Okay. Please re-roll me those dice.
All the failures, yes?
Yeah. So just straight up re-roll that pool of 7.
One success.
One success. Okay. And how many conditions do you want at the minute mentally?
This would be 2 now.
This would be 2. Okay, so this is all right. Let's do something fun. You begin to examine this wall, and you're tapping on it, and you're trying to examine the sort of structural integrity of the place, and you can feel a knot of frustration deep within the pit of your stomach that builds and builds as you're examining this wall, and you're not really getting anywhere. You can't find any dinks or weak points or anything that would suggest easy entry, and it's building this irritation deep in your soul that this old place should not be this much of a bother. You are far too cool for this sort of shit to rattle you this much. What is wrong with this establishment? What is wrong with these people? Why is Sammy such an asshole? And as this sort of thought rattles through your head, you, irritated, drive your elbow into what you think is a weak point in the wall and shatter one of the panels with an almighty grunt of frustration. And as you sort of pull your elbow away, and it's like a little bit bloodied and the skin is a little bit broken from the impact, you catch a glimpse of what on the other side is making this wall seem a lot more sturdy than it really is. Behind this wall, there are clearly bookcases, thick, well-made bookcases that are rammed up against the side of the wall.
Cool.
Please take the angry condition.
You mad boy.
Didn't even see that was a condition. That's quite.
Mm.
Oh
yeah.
Can Ingrid see that he's mad and he's angry?
I'm really
Yeah,
mad.
if you want to be in the room, you can bimble up while Selby and Selby and Father Pablo investigate.
Yeah. If I see that he's really angry, Ingrid's just gonna slide on up and go, "What is the matter? Are you hot under the collar?"
Brilliant.
I do not have time for you right now, Ingrid. Please, just
You have all
stop.
the time in the world. Because what's the point, really?
Fantastic. And below, whilst this wonderful scene is happening, Dr. Anki, you're examining your patients here, and you hear an almighty thud of something going through a wall. But sort of don't let it really rattle you as you continue your investigation. What did you roll?
I have rolled 2 successes and feel that the image I posted in the group chat earlier is now prognostication.
Yeah, that's fair. You you give these people a once over. You sort of sit Olaus up on a chair so he's not head over kettle on the floor. You sort of walk around all of them and have a look. From what you can tell, they all just seem to be asleep. Granted, it's unwakeable. You sort of snap your fingers and sort of try and wake them or rouse them in some way, and you can't. For some reason, they're just not responding. But you check their vital signs as best you can, and you don't see anything otherwise physically wrong with them, apart from the woman who is very, very clearly struggling from a very severe morphine come down.
Fair enough. It happens to all of us. In that case, safe and secure that these people are not an immediate threat of choking on their own vomit or anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, if they were, she would position them in relatively safe positions to make sure that, okay, well, at least nothing will kill you except the other things. I'm going to just casually rummage through their possessions to see if they have anything that seems to be able to match sharp claws or whatever. Because
all right.
Hey, they're stabilized.
Sure.
They do not need anything to defend themselves because they can't.
So, all right. Okay. Who are you rooting through specifically?
We had local priest, local opiate addict, person, woman, a thing. We had Farmer Jonathan, who just seems like a regular good old boy who seems to be way too good for a place like this.
Human version of a Labrador, absolutely.
Yeah. And then we had the barmaid? Question mark?
The barmaid Anjali, she is also there. And also Olaus Clint, the person who summoned you.
Oh, right. Then Olaus.
Okay.
Because he was the person who suspected something from the outside. He might actually have some amount of girding towards whatever he may have been suspecting. He'll get it back.
Sure. You rifle through Olaus Clint's things, and you sort of dig into his pockets and various things. You do see that he's got a fair amount of cash on him. He's got maybe a modest means, you think. He doesn't do too bad for himself, but you can absolutely take that if you would like.
I ignore the money.
Fair. He's got a couple of weapons on him, nothing big or flashy, just sort of a small parrying dagger that seems to be more for show than it does for actual fighting. He's got a fair amount of notebooks that he's sort of kept in a satchel at his side. In one of the notebooks, as you're sort of pulling things out and rummaging around, you do actually find a crumpled up piece of paper, just discarded at the bottom of the bag. And as you sort of look at it, it's a meeting schedule for the month of August for a group called the Rosenbergers. And it has a venue, date, and time for each meeting, all of which have been heavily redacted by very expensive ink. And you can tell it's pretty goddamn good quality as well. Like this stuff, usually with ink, especially at this time period, it's usually quite watered down. It's not great in terms of opacity, but this stuff is jet black. Please roll me your logic and learning.
Very well then. That is something that I very much will do. Logic and learning. 6d6s for a grand total of 2 successes.
2 successes. You very much know that the Rosenbergers were a part of the society that split off and became its own thing towards the end of its lifetime. The Rosenbergers were named after one of the founders of the society, and this specific founder was always a lot more militant than the rest of the members that were present at the time. These people were believers in the destruction of VAESEN. They believed them to be entities of the devil. They believed them to be harbingers of terrible luck and terrible things and bringing nothing but destruction and pain upon the world, and therefore sought to rid the world of them. And the Rosenbergers were a splinter group that were set up after Rosenberger's death to carry on his work.
Fair enough. Anki will make a quick jot into her own notebook and very illegible handwriting as the doctor code requires. And then ponder that even if it's mostly for show, a small parrying dagger is still better than a scalpel if something is up in your face, and you'll get it back later, sir.
Fair.
Before going upstairs.
Okay, yeah, you follow upstairs, and everyone sort of comes together eventually in this side room. Sophia sort of takes you around by the hand for a minute, Esther, and as you hear everyone conglomerating, she sort of says, do you think we should maybe rejoin your friends if they're not coming up here?
I think it's better to be together, so come on then.
Okay. And she does sort of lead you down, Tova sort of skipping along happily by your side, and you will conglomerate in Dr. Anki's room at the Witch Cat beside this locked room. And as you all walk in, you very much see Father Pavel has a bloodied elbow. There is a hole in the wall that was not there previously.
Ingrid is following and ever so slightly snickering.
Don't just stand there, help me. And what I want to try and do is just kick the back of the bookcase a bit, see if I can push it over so we can climb through the hole.
I am giving you moral support.
Okay, roll me
That is a very blatant lie.
Roll me a physique and force test, please, Father Pavel.
Can I help him just so he doesn't hurt himself more?
Sure.
Can I also
Yes.
help?
Of course you can. Everyone who's helping, please declare. Okay. Selby, are you helping this
Yeah.
nonsense? Are you standing back?
I mean, Selby is standing there like, what do you think I'm doing, man? Like,
Yeah, for sure. She's
what are you-
they're just like, what?
just-
Yeah, but in his heightened anger state, he, I don't know, doesn't manage to do so, unfortunately.
I mean, did you
Does
roll
he
your
get a dice
additional?
from?
I
Does he get a
did.
dice from Tova?
Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, not one from. Does Tova count as well?
You get an additional 3 dice from the rest of the party, though. So.
Yeah, I've only got 2 in physique. So.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
Oh dear.
This is
Yeah,
what
you
happens
can-
when
gonna
holy men
ask
get angry,
Ken-
they get hurt.
Can I roll that? Because I do have a fairly good amount of physique.
Yeah, go on then. Yeah,
Okay.
sure. As Father Pavel sort of scrabbles against this sort of sheer rages in his eyes as he fights a bookcase, like an animal.
So 3 extra dice for
Yes.
people helping, unless Father Pavel is stepping
Yep.
off.
I'm tempted to ask him to step off, but you know.
I have 4 successes.
Oh my
Nice.
god, oh mama, okay. Yeah, that bookcase is that's no longer a problem at all. Yeah, you sort of lay in the shoulder, and as you do so, you guys all watch as Selby sort of positions themselves against this wall, and with a grunt of effort just shoulders it like a linebacker and creates a door where before there was no door. The panel of the wall full on slides away and crumples like an IKEA folding screen and just it slams down on the floor with a very satisfying thud. And Selby keeps going so that their shoulder is pushing this bookcase back and into the room proper, and you get it pushed back like a good couple feet, enough to create a thoroughfare for you to enter the room. But
Oh no.
at this point, as you step past the threshold of this room and into what lays beyond, Selby, you see a very well-maintained place that is far removed from the rest of this inn. The dust has been cleaned away. The holes in the ceiling have been patched up with jobs old and new over the course of the past year. Old books held within bookshelves lining the walls on every single conceivable side that is not the door are all jammed tight with occult books and various arcane texts. Back of the room, there's a skinny bed, and at the other end there is a desk upon which is a very thick leather journal crammed with loose paper and pages of scrawled writings, lays open with a spine too damaged to snap it shut. And as you glance at the spines of the books, you do notice most of them appear to be on various types of hauntings. Upon entry into this room, however, you feel a presence that arrives suddenly to loom over your left shoulder, bearing down on you. You find yourself unable to move, as at the back of your mind, you hear a male voice in your ear that whispers, "Katya, Albert, Himmler, Pyrie, you came back, and now you're not leaving." And at that, you feel a immense pressure at the back of your mind, like the beginning of a cluster headache. Please roll me your empathy or observation. Sorry, empathy and observation. And I need to make an opposed check.
Ingrid got 1 success.
This is just Selby, sorry.
Aww.
Oh.
Can I have her success?
Mhm.
Okay.
Nope.
No
Didn't
successes?
make that one. Mm-mm.
I will make you the same devil's bargain that I made our dear Father Pavel here.
That's true.
If you would like to push your luck, you may re-roll some of those failures in order to succeed, but you will take a condition.
I'm gonna go for broke
Okay.
and get 2 successes on my
This one has grit. Excellent.
Oh, you are one lucky Thursday's child. You feel a heavy pressure on your mind as though someone is trying to cram themselves through a passageway that is too small for them. And alarmed, you sort of slam your mind's eye shut, trying to back this intrusion away from you. You successfully throw off the sickly, vertigo-inducing feeling of your mind being invaded. But as you do this, you catch a glimpse of what tried to enter. You see the mound outside. You see the root cellar. And then you see the trapdoor swung open, and you are rushed inside as you see the last shovelful of dirt being laid on a hastily dug grave in unconsecrated ground. You feel the betrayal and horror and agony and deep terror of whoever is trapped beneath the earth come to fruition as they realize that they have been betrayed. And you feel the restlessness as they seek a peace that they cannot find by themselves. And you see this in a flash that coats your vision, and you are not where you were, and then in a flash you are back in this room, breathing heavily, trying to recenter yourself. Please,
I think
what conditions are you at the moment?
I just have frightened.
Okay. You at this point feel as you come away from this vision, you feel a deep sadness in your chest left over from the grief and the betrayal of whoever was beneath the earth. And you still feel that oppressive, horrendous feeling of being stuck under the dirt, still alive, unable to move. And that is enough to send you over the brink of hopelessness. For the rest of you, you just see Selby stop and gasp a shuddery breath as they appear to be looking at something that only they can see.
And that, Father Pavel, is how we once more demonstrate that force in superior numbers, something's wrong with Selby, isn't it?
Yes,
Yay,
very
you
much
got
so.
through the oh.
Yes.
Selby?
So I'm not moving or holding on to, like, I've got my hand on the barrel of my carbine, and like the butt is on the ground, and I've got one hand like keeping me from, I look like I'm gonna totter over. But like just trying to keep myself from falling over. And just breathing, like trying to center myself.
Would appear she is frozen.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can
still
hear
hear you.
Mm.
Quick, everybody, pull the same pose. Oh no! She's
Oh,
Oh,
Oh no.
Oh no! We're all playing musical chairs.
Oh no.
Well,
there was the
Oh,
technical
no. What
difficulties,
happened?
everyone.
Who's who?
currently we have Leia is now playing Esther Blom. Holly is now the game master.
Oh no, I've been used up.
Plasticity is
Hey,
now
too, Holly.
Shelby, and he's
So I
now
got my
Dr.
gun.
Anki.
Oh,
Amazing.
everyone roll initiative.
Oh fuck!
This is not that game.
Look at me, I'm the captain now.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
I'd have laughed if
That's
me and
okay.
you switch places, Stacey.
All right, we will wait whilst we are reshuffled by our wonderful the wonderful Ree. Everybody take a break. So how are we all? How's everybody doing? How are we feeling? How's it going?
I'm not okay.
That's
working on it,
you know what? Whilst we're here, we may as well do the giveaway while Stacey's reshuffling everything around. So surprise giveaway time. Everybody in the chat, your question of the day to win a wonderful copy of the call. Hello, Stacey. What?
No, I didn't do it.
Oh, you're just okay, right? Anyway, so everybody who is in the chat, if you would like to win a copy of the core rulebook by VAESEN by Free League, if you can tell us in the chat what you think the creature haunting the witch cat is, and we will pick our favorite answer, you will be receiving that in your inbox. So please post away your suggestions of what you think the entity is, and we will pick our favorite out of those. Whilst we are reshuffled, I think we're actually maybe back. Are we back,
I did
Stacey?
it.
Oh, great!
Success! It was the best
I
game
love
of
that.
musical chairs I've ever played.
It's I for one endorse it completely. All right,
I'm sorry
Stacey,
I
can
broke
you
it.
please keep an eye on chat to compile some responses for people whilst we move on. Okay, great. So everyone, you find yourself coming back to this, and Selby, you take a moment to compose yourself after this moment of pure horror and look around at everyone who's here, and all of you have entrance into Nora's room.
If appropriate, Dr. Sala would very much like to approach Selby, just put a hand on their shoulder and a stiff drink in their free hand from the procured good stuff.
Okay.
Steady
Alright.
on there. Steady
Selby
on.
probably jumps because completely forget that there are other people who exist. And then takes the proffered drink and just downs the whole thing and just hands you the empty glass.
You get a sort of patting the baby on the back so they can burp response, there. You will be. I will not say that you will be fine, but you will be restored in time.
Okay. Are you all sort of taking a moment to have a breather at this point then?
I think a little sit down.
I'm
Quite
gonna
well with
sit
ourselves.
There are
right
books, aren't
here.
there?
Yeah, Selby, you just sort of go, nope, and sort of sink down where you are, cross-legged on the floor, just
I use the bookshelf that I pushed in. I was I'm sitting in the threshold of each of the rooms, so it's you have to walk over me to get over.
Yeah.
I am the guardian of this room.
You're the guardian, sat crisscross applesauce with your little glass of wine, just there oh God, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Is it possible for you to relate to us what it is that you just experienced, Selby? Deep breath. We have time.
Yeah, you will sort of pour each other
Consideration.
drinks and take each other out.
Consideration, and then I'm gonna need another drink.
I refill it. I don't know how much good stuff we have, but if not, I have my own supply, and if over that, I am not above appropriating Father Pavel's secret stash.
Yeah, you have enough between you to pour everyone a glass of wine. You sort of crowd around and shut the doors and try and secure yourselves as best as possible.
Just one, Sophie.
Sophie's just there with half a glass
This is fine.
It's funny.
Just ruffle her hair.
Yeah. She's like trying to be really adult about it, so she's trying not to wince every time she takes a sip.
I love that not only does Esther have an emotional support animal, but Esther is also our emotional support human
animal,
being.
Yeah. She's our emotional support writer. Fantastic.
Yep.
The only fully human person here, it seems sometimes.
Yeah.
What are emotions?
What is wrong with you? What is your secret? I must see your brain. No, wait, never mind. That wasn't supposed to be there out loud.
Yeah, sort of, Selby, as you're sat there, you find yourself coming back to yourself a little bit more. Sort of the initial horror of it fading away, and you're able to think a little more clearly.
Bjorn has saddled himself into my lap, like this big dog in like my crossed legs. So I'm like forced to drink around him.
Yeah.
Good. I don't think it's good for the animal.
I love it when dogs do that because they don't realize how big they are, and you're just like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, he's absolutely a big dog that he's like, I'm not big. Look how comfy we are. This is okay. This is how we sit.
As a note,
So after-
Tova thinks that she's bigger than she is.
Yes, Anki?
I believe Father Pavel bloodied himself assaulting a wolf for reasons that has been made known to me now.
I did, and I'll like hold up my elbow.
Come here, Father.
Yeah, he's not.
Let us tend to
actually
the sacred
injured. He's not-
sacrament of your flesh.
He's not he's fine. It's a little bit of scraped off flesh. You know, you get a bit of a bandage and you get some spirit on there to make sure it doesn't get infected. No
I've got
big
a
deal.
peel up.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, it
Gross.
would be very, very highly anticlimactic if we make it through all this together gloriously, bonded as in the fire, and you drop dead 2 days later out of, I don't know,
Gangrene.
gangrene, yes.
Infection?
Dying from
Gangrene,
straight
infection, whatever it is you get when you have rusty tools, that I never
Tetanus.
use. That is the one.
I was
Isn't
going to
that
say
with
tinnitus,
metal?
and I was like, no, that's different.
If you get
think that's
tinnitus
an
from a
ear
rusty
thing.
cut, that is
Yeah.
definitely a bad move.
For sure.
After Selby has a couple of sips of their drink, there's a voice in the back of my head and like pressure. I said a couple of names. I only caught 2 for sure. And then I saw something.
It was Katya, Albert, Himmler, and Pyrie, Selby.
Katya and Himmler.
Albert, Himmler, and Pyrie.
So there's 4. So I'll say, redact that too. I heard 4 names, but I only recognized 2. There was Albert, Katya, Himmler, and Pyrie.
Wasn't
heard it.
Albert the name of the murderer from the play?
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, that we know Albert from the play. Pyrie, I believe, if I'm putting all of my exterior information together correctly, Pyrie may have used to run this place. Pyrie used to use this place as a what's the word? A meeting place for the society. After some of the tragedies at Ulu Castle, the society would meet here under Pyrie. So I do recognize that name. And they said that they were back and they weren't going to let us leave. Or let them leave. And then I saw a trapdoor, the root cellar, I think. And I felt terror and betrayal. I felt like I was being buried alive, honestly.
Probably where Oscar is.
That's what my thoughts too.
Well, that is extraordinarily helpful in the circumstances.
Yes. Oh, I did want to mention, after thinking about it a bit more, it took me a second to make the connections. I think Oscar was a Thursday's child.
What makes you say that?
I've got some information that he attended some of the society meetings towards the end. There's my sources don't really know very much about him, but I know he attended some of these meetings when Pyrie was hosting these society meetings here in the Witch Cat.
That would certainly line up with the other names and the possibility of, if he sees us as representatives of his former antagonists, and these are connected to, well, the castle, the society, and everything thereof, then it appears perhaps, looks over to Father Pavel briefly, we have a little bit of an incident, allegorically speaking, related to sins of our fathers, so to speak.
Or mistaken identity.
Sophia, do any of the names sound familiar from your dreams? We know Albert, but Katia and Himmler, do they sound familiar to you?
Sometimes Oscar would talk about them. He would mention Albert's friends, and those were two of the names that came up.
Were there like notes and stuff in this room?
Yeah, sort of as you peer in, Esther, sort of taking your wine with you, sort of having a look. You do see on the desk there is an open journal that is absolutely crammed with notes. At this point, you guys have sort of been sat down for maybe half an hour now, sort of regathering yourselves. Each of you heal 2 of your conditions, your mental conditions, as you've taken a breather and are feeling a little more centered and a little more like yourselves again. And as Esther, you lead your way into this room tentatively, putting one foot after the other, looking around. Selby, you're keeping a close eye on this. As she does,
does anyone have 3 conditions at the moment?
No, I believe everyone was on 2.
Cool.
Yeah. You all enter this room. Esther, you do see on this desk there is this journal.
She gravitates towards it and just sort of starts looking through it.
Okay. You see written in very neat handwriting a few entries, all in the same hand. But as you go through them, every single entry that continues gets more frantic and more worrisome as you go through. The first one is January the 15th. I saw it again last night. I was on my way to empty the Widow Rutger's chamber pot. The candle in my hand went out, and standing still in the dark corridor on the 2nd floor, I could hear the floorboards moving. Someone walking towards me. I whispered my husband's name, and an unknown voice responded in a word I couldn't understand. The hairs on my arms stood up, and blood throbbed in my veins, and finally I dropped to the pot and ran downstairs. My footsteps woke several of the guests, and I had to spend more than an hour on my knees scrubbing the stench of Rutger's excrement from the floorboards. Sammy was angry, but I didn't tell him I'd seen a ghost. January 7th. Do I really have myself to blame? I know what I did to Sammy, but that was almost 20 years ago. He gets so different when he's angry, and I go mute with fear whilst he demands answers. Perhaps I should know better to upset him, but all I did was suggest that the sudden falling apart of the inn might have occult causes. I definitely shouldn't have mentioned that there was a ghost. Now I won't be able to show myself to the guests for a week. The bruises around my neck can be concealed with a collar, and no one sees the pain in my chest and stomach, but my left eye is purple like a plum, and my nose is swollen. I fear for Sophia. She is so much like me, and I'd like to tell her everything, but I'm afraid of what Sammy would say. He wants to eradicate all things artistic and sublime from his daughter, from me. January 31st. I mentioned my nightmares to Sophia, and it turns out she's been having the same dreams. A man being killed, the murderer sneaking up behind him, the body is buried in consecrated ground, all of this, and suddenly It's my body in the grave. I've been buried alive and I can't get out. I haven't told Sophia this part. I don't want to give her nightmares. February 7th. The fourth time I saw him, I understood what he was whispering. Not a word, but a name, Pyrie. After spending several days pondering the matter, to Sammy's great annoyance, I remembered where I heard that name before. Sammy's grandfather, who used to run this inn. There were lots of old letters in the attic, and among them I found a stack of messages signed in Pyrie's name, written in code and addressed to someone in Uppsala. The code was easily deciphered, and now I've shut myself away in my room one morning, reading Pyrie's love letters. Sammy is furious that I've neglected my duties. He's banging the kitchen walls and throwing saucepans against the floor. Poor Anjali. February 8th. I need to know who the man is, but I've found out now. Pyrie writes of his guilt and feelings of remorse over a murder he committed. He killed a man named Oscar Hjort by slitting his throat. This happened during a meeting with 3 people from Uppsala. One of them was named Albert. Oscar was unwilling to cooperate, but he was meant to do something I'm unsure of. They buried his body somewhere in our garden. Pyrie says that instead of having a priest consecrate the ground, he desecrated the body with magic. He fears that he's damned the inn and everyone inside of it to hell. March 1st. Sophia has been quiet and withdrawn for some time now. I sat down to talk with her and she told me that she dreams of setting up a theatre. She wants to put on a show here at the Witch Cat. I think it's a fantastic idea. I've sent an invitation to the theatre troupe of Marcus, mostly to attract customers, but also to inspire Sophia. They will pass through here in early April. This time I won't let Sammy get in my way. March 19th. Sammy saw the letter. He hit me with a poker. I'm hiding now. April 3rd. If I stay here, he'll kill me. Tonight I'm packing my things, I'm taking Pyrie's letters, and I'm going. Perhaps I'll show them to Sophia when I come back for her. Perhaps when we return to the Witch Cat one day, when Sammy has died or come to his senses, we can go looking for ghosts together. And there is where the journal ends. As you flip through this, you see names penned into a odd set of these notes that Nora mentioned, sort of thick parchment paper that's crammed in intervals in this journal, penned in a completely different hand to Nora's own handwriting, heavy cream paper and very thick, opaque, expensive black ink. As you flip through them, you see a list of names penned into a neat table. The names are all crossed out, and there is also written a receipt for gallons and gallons of lamp oil and a bill for its transport to Ulu Castle. Beneath this receipt is also a note. It will need to look like a tragic accident. The society will believe it a troll attack. Cause of death, killed in action.
So as she's reading it, her face gets more and more serious and like...
Well, the Father Pavel wasn't angry before. I know Ingrid is now. Can we just go and eat Sammy? Just eat him.
Yeah, she'll explain what she's read and she'll take out the little note basically confirming arson and hand it to Anki.
Well, that also rules out the incendiary elk theory. But it doesn't bring me any comfort all the same.
Was that really a theory of yours?
In all honesty, Ingrid, no. But it felt better than to say, I have absolutely no idea and I have no explanation and it's driving me up the wall.
Ah.
And do not say that is something comparable to Father Pavel. He's had a very hard day.
All right, the rest of you, whilst Esther is looking through this, what are you doing in Nora's room?
I was listening mostly to Esther.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
That was a pretty heavy story, and
I'm pretty shell shocked from what I'd seen and just hearing. I don't know. Does Esther? Do you read out some of these journal entries, or probably not because of Sophia?
Yeah, she probably wouldn't read it out loud, but she'd sort of give some bullet points. She'll probably leave out a lot of the abuse, but you can probably see on her face when she reads those parts, because her face scrunches up and she gets uncharacteristically angry.
Since Selby's a little bit taller than I think most people, he's probably just they're probably just like reading over Esther's shoulder while they look in the journal, and then like just seeing what they experienced kind of concreted into somebody else experiencing it has just like shut them up.
Yep.
He's just quiet.
All right, I have
Doctor-
a theory. Just little theory.
Ingrid,
Small theory.
This is going to be interesting.
enlighten us, Ingrid.
So, from the bullet points, we are aware that somebody was buried.
Yes?
Why don't we go find them?
I think that's our next step.
Great! I'm
Hey.
psychic and I can tell you what you're thinking and your futures are.
Exhuming a desecrated corpse.
I mean, maybe we could bury it in consecrated ground. It might help. Or maybe we could simply undesecrate it. Is that a thing, Father?
There is a church nearby. I'm sure if we gave it a proper burial.
Nora mentioned magics, though. I don't know if that's going to carry over, even if we do try to bring this body to consecrated Garen.
Maybe
I do agree. Okay.
It's at this moment, as you're all coming to this sort of point of making a plan and trying to sort of put all your ducks in a row, as it were, that outside of the witch cat, over the howl of this never-ending storm that batters against the side of this place, absolutely yowling its disbelief and disgrace at the inn, you begin to hear over this shrieking wind screaming. Terrified, agonized, pained screaming. And it's coming from the garden.
Yeah. Selby
Yep,
bolts
off
for
we go. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Esther, once again, Sophia is following you. And you all bloody just pelt your way down the stairs. You all, wasting no time at all, you blow through the doors into the kitchen, straight through, ignoring all of the pots and the pans and the livo and the hob still bubbling away with something that should have been taken off of the heat hours ago. Hello, yes, doctor.
Is there a fire poker?
Yep.
Not anymore, it's with us now.
Oh,
Grab the fire poker. It's still sort of a white hot and glowing with heat as you blow through the door into the backyard, and the rain immediately hits you in sheets, and it is driving. It is a driving force. You see, as you look around, trying to peer past the absolute blinding rain, you see that the trapdoor leading into the root cellar and the door to the conservatory both have been flung open, but the door to the stable is shut tight. Under the closed door, you see the dance and retreat of a single lamplight fighting back the shadows. And as you burst through this door, the screaming stops. And terrible, all-encompassing quiet follows. Even the wind slightly dies down to more of a hollow wheeze from its dramatic howl. And you are left in the garden with simply this slowly swaying light under the door.
Hello?
No answer.
I think Esther is going to head straight for the root cellar.
Okay.
Wait, Esther, you're the only one. Ah! Follows. Poker in hand.
Head straight
Yeah.
to the cellar.
I'm also
Yeah.
following.
And
Alright.
Selby's got like gun at the ready.
All right.
As
So-
halfway down the steps, Esther probably thinks, oh, maybe the gun should have gone first. Oh, well.
You kind of like had that thought before Selby was able to like, but like as soon as you take off, like they follow immediately.
As you step inside this cellar, you all look around. It seems far bigger than it should be down here. It's the first thing that hits you. It is a dark cavern that echoes with your footsteps as you enter, the sounds bouncing off of walls lined with food and drink long forgotten. All of its walls and nooks and crannies crawl with maggots, and the shelving units that once held food fit for consumption are now just bloated, moldy husks where food once was, and it just rows and rows of these that surround the side of it. As you enter, you all step inside, and you cannot help but have your eyes drawn to the middle of the room, as suddenly, where before there was nothing, there now stands a figure. It's a young man, perhaps mid-20s, wearing expensive-looking clothing and looking happy, joyful. He's looking in your direction, but he doesn't actually appear to be looking at you at all. He's looking at someone in front of him, but standing in front of you, and he seems enraptured by them. His expression is a picture of true devotion and joy. And then, just as suddenly as he appeared, he opens his mouth to say something, but the words don't come out before there's a quick, violent motion behind him. There's a flash of a knife and a cold steel blade, and a wide wound tears open Oscar's throat. Blood gushes from this horrendous gash as Oscar slumps to the floor, unable to scream, only able to gurgle his pain and terror. His head is sort of turned towards you all, where he lies, exactly where he has fallen. And finally, at these last moments, as his lifeblood drains from him out of this wound, he seems to finally see you. And all he can do in this moment is entreat you with wide, pleading eyes, as the ground on either side of him seems to reach up and cover him over, dragging him back down beneath the dirt. Please, everyone, roll me a fear test.
Yeah, I'm not good at these. So the fear test was empathy or logic. Is that correct?
Yes, empathy or logic.
Would this once again apply with regards to dead or damaged human bodies?
Yeah.
Something,
Do I
something.
get any bonuses for having an emotional support animal with me?
Unfortunately not. As the emotional support animal of the group, you cannot yourself be exempt.
I meant Tova, but okay.
7 die, no dice.
Okay. All right. Who failed?
Hi, my name is Ingrid, and I completely failed.
Dr. Anki and Ingrid, as you see this, you feel a deep-seated fear begin to take root in you, and you begin to shake violently as you back away from this into the wall or into the side of the cellar, just trying to get anywhere out of the sight of this horrendous vision, trying not to look at the ground, look at the ceiling, look outside, look anywhere else, and you find yourself having to fight back a panic attack as you reel back away from this thing. Both of you take the frightened condition.
Yes, that seemed quite appropriate.
Yeah, Sophia is hiding behind you, Esther. She's wide-eyed.
Can we see what did the cutting behind him? I'm trying to remember. Oscar.
Like, did we see an arm come out, or did we just see like the effect of the throat being slit?
Let's see how quick your vision was, shall we? Let's have a look. See here. Roll me your logic and vigilance, if you would.
Everyone or just Father Pavel?
Everyone, please. Yeah.
Logic and vigilance, eh?
Yes.
Ooh, I
Two
got a lot of
things
that.
I'm terrible at. Right.
I've got 1.
Where is my vigilance?
This is scientifically not plausible.
One.
Ingrid has failed again.
Nothing.
Okay, Ingrid, you seriously need to step away from me. You are rubbing off with bad luck.
It's not my fault.
Well, if it's anything in... I mean, we were terrified.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, having a bad day.
I got 1.
Okay, 1 success for Father Pavel, and everyone else. 1 success for Selby. Okay, and no successes for everyone else. Okay, no worries. Selby and Father Pavel, as you watched this scene unfold, both of you see this flash of steel, and instinctively both go to peer over the shoulder of this young man to see what the assailant is or who they were. You catch for a moment, just a moment, a dark hooded figure, a wiry frame, and these eyes that seem so familiar, and it takes you a moment to figure it out, but both of you know, yeah, those eyes, you've seen them before. The innkeeper Sammy has the exact same color.
Bum, bum, bum. That's how I feel right now. Like, genuinely, that's how I feel right now.
As we suspected, the innkeeper's a bastard.
Well, this happened years ago, and
His
I believe,
grandfather.
yeah, his grandfather was Perry, I believe.
Pyrie, I think.
Pyrie.
You're saying that it runs in the family.
Eye color tends to run in the family, yes.
Oh, I meant being a bastard.
Well,
Whilst I haven't read any research papers on it, Father, those seem not to be mutually exclusive necessarily.
I don't know, but when are we meeting your fathers and mothers? I would like to meet all of your parents, just to be safe. You can't meet mine. I don't know where they are.
And on that note, we will take a break there, folks, to let everyone have a little bit of a breather before we continue with the horror show. So please take your time to go have a drink, have a biscuit. We will see you back in about 10 minutes or so, where we will have a little chat with our good friend Leia Robertson, and a chat with our players, and just hang out for a bit and decompress. And then we'll get back into the terror and horror shortly afterwards, I do promise. Thank you all for watching. You're all fantastic, and I hope to see you after the break. Please don't go anywhere.
Hi, everybody. I'm George.
And I'm Bob. We're the Shipping Goblins from Beetle and Cribs. Today, we're going to talk about the amazing Map Vault Collection. And with the Map Vault Collection, you get a bunch of gorgeous two-sided maps, all scaled for standard minis.
Yeah, get yours now for the Map Vault collection from Beetle and Grimm, and all the players at your table will be revved up and hyper because the only thing they'll be able to say is...
Yeah, go ahead and do it.
Zoinks!
Yeah, do it again.
Zoinks!
Hello?
Who do you think you are?
Yes, Mr. Lillard.
You're just some goblin.
Yes, sir.
You can't just go off and use my
It's your
voice
thing.
like that. I have rights.
Completely. We just thought...
Me?
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna take this right to
yes, sir.
Beetle. Hey, Grim.
Thank you, sir.
What happened?
Matthew Lillard watches our show!
Hello, wonderful people. Welcome back once again to the Mythic North and to our VAESEN game, King Hunt. We are on episode 2 of the Mystery Dance of Dreams. And we're going to take a little brief interlude to decompress and not think about horrible things for a moment and the terrible, terrible things that I'm doing to my wonderful players. We have a awesome guest with us here today. We have the fantastic LEIA Robertson with us. So let's have a brief chat. So tell us about your start in TTRPGs. How did you get started with it all, and what drew you to it, I guess?
Well, so when I was younger, I watched a lot of fantasy, like you do. I think a lot of it had to do with probably Lord of the Rings. Those movies really like inspired me. I was a big Aragorn fan, so I was like, that was like so cool to me. And I happen to have a friend who was like, hey, my dad runs D&D as like 15-year-old LEIA. And a friend who was like, my dad runs D&D, you should totally come. It's Dungeons and Dragons, it'll be great. And I remember being in like the shops, like when my dad would go buy like paperback books to read, I would go to the Dungeons and Dragons section and just like look through the books because they were so cool. And I was like, all right, well, this sounds cool. So I'll go ahead and give it a shot. And I've been playing. I took a brief hiatus when I went to college, and then got back into it when I moved to my current area, because I had lots of people like, we want to play games, but we don't have a DM. So I was that reluctant DM, and I've just been kind of doing it ever since.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite TTRPG?
Unfortunately, I haven't played a lot of other varieties of TTRPG. I've mostly stuck in like the Dungeons and Dragons area, because a lot of people want to play that, and there's a lot of other RPGs that are around that I want to take a look at. I know I've mentioned to you before, Elle, that I really wanted to play like Coriolis.
Yes.
Like, sci-fi is like my next favorite next to fantasy.
For sure.
So when I was pitched VAESEN, I was like, I love Nordic history and folklore, and sign me up, please. Horror is my favorite. There's lots of stuff that I want to play, like Kids on Bikes. There's the Coriolis system. If you pitch it to me and it's not super complicated where I have to remember a mega amount of rules, I will absolutely try it.
We just want to do all the Free League. I think that's what we're taking away from this.
Let's
we just want to play all the Free League, which is great. brings us very comfortably onto our giveaway, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we are giving away a copy of the core rulebook of VAESEN today. Fun times, y'all. And earlier we asked you what you think is haunting the witch cat, and we've had a few responses. And I've had my lovely producer Stacey compile those for us.
Yeah,
so
wow.
Stacey, what do we get?
So we have to pick from a very lost Chupacabra,
Cool.
Puppet Master,
Cool.
Dean the Messenger Boy,
Entirely possible.
Baby Yoda, and
Baby Yoda.
Van Helsing's Dracula.
Van
I don't know
Helsing's
whether that's Van Helsing's Dracula or Van Helsing.
Van Helsing
from Dracula.
From Dracula, for sure. What was
Both.
the first one?
Pardon? What was what?
What was the first one?
A Very Lost Chupacabra.
I like that one. I
Could
think that
somebody
would have been
define what the
fantastic.
chupacabra actually is? Because
It's
it sounds
like a
great, but
Mexican creature. Is it Spanish or Mexican?
Yeah,
It's Mexican.
Mexican. Yeah, it's like a strange goat creature
It
thing.
eats goats.
Oh no, it eats goats.
It does eat ghosts. Yeah, it's
Sure.
it
Drains
is
the blood from
a
goat.
Mexican. It is a Mexican heritage. We hear
Okay.
all about that here in the States.
Yeah, I'm just it's a pretty big thing over there, isn't it?
Yeah, down in the southern states. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're going with a very lost Chupacabra.
We're going with a very lost chupacabra. Congratulations to whoever won that. Please
That will
PM.
be Jairus.
Jairus, hey Jairus.
Jairus
PM
needs to PM us.
whisper either me or Stacey or one of our lovely moderators, and we'll get that copy over to you ASAP, Rocky. But in the meantime, I believe we have a little more terror to instill.
Hold on. I have to make a quick correction
Yeah.
to what I said because I've got Ipsy screaming at me in the chat. The Chupacabra is a goat sucker from Puerto Rico.
Okay, thank you, Ipsy. All right, clarifications. We love them. So as
We
we
love
bring
goats.
ourselves back into the Mythic North today, once again, the Witch Cat is a disgusting, rotted, bloated hulk of a place, and the root cellar is no different. It is dark and oppressive and damp down here, and it has the smell of rot is all that you can really sense at all. It's to the point where it's so oppressive that it's starting to affect your sight slightly. Like your eyes are watering at the strength of it. And the rain outside has kind of lessened to a more gentle pitter patter. The wind is sort of more of a sigh than it is a howl now, as you all stand here in this root cellar. But as you stand there, sort of wondering what to do, you notice, as in the back corner of the room, something steps out of the shadows with a decisive clip of heels on stonework. And you see the man who you just saw die in front of you step out into the room and look around at you all, and he is glaring with rage at every single one of you. And he says, "Why did you come back?"
Point of order, Herr Jort, we presume?
Do not act like you do not know me.
That's because we don't. Hello, I am Ingrid.
You have been
I'll
here
just-
before.
I'll just like look down at Anki's hand where he's got the poker and just do a sort of
What? Father, what?
I don't know why you came back, but you'll never leave here again. Die! And at that, he reaches out his hand and sort of mimes grabbing something and sweeping it down. And as he does so, one of these shelves of bloated, rotted food collapses down and is going to head for all of you. Can all of you please roll me a precision and athletics? Physique and athletic agility to get out of the way, please. I don't know why I went athletics there. I've got D&D on the brain, clearly.
that's D4.
And Ingrid has failed again.
Okay, I'll. Can you not fail immediately before I do? So Domino's onto me.
Should have hit him with your wacky stick.
Oh no.
It's too wacky.
Okay.
One success for me.
Okay, and who failed? Ingrid, Dr. Anki. Okay. As you all look around in horror as this shelving unit threatens to come down on top of you, you all manage to get out of the way enough that it doesn't completely crush you to death. He rolled terribly, but you do sort of get clipped by it, Dr. Anki and Ingrid. As this shelf comes down, a bit of the wood splinters off and smacks into you, and it grazes the sides of your arms, sort of dragging itself down and creating a nasty gash in your upper forearm. Please take the condition battered, as you sort of end up with these nasty array of bruises down your arm. And Oscar is now screaming at all of you to get out, get out.
But I am.
What are you here for? Why are you here? Just leave me alone. Haven't you done enough?
We're not them.
I
We
haven't
want to
done anything.
understand. We want to try and help.
Esther, please roll me a empathy manipulation check.
Is there any possibility at all of helping her with this?
Yes, I would say anyone who's actively adding their voice to this, please, yeah.
Yeah.
Can somebody who is not
Oddly
Anki
enough-
do that because Anki is too busy swearing in Finnish?
Oddly enough, I don't have anything in manipulation, so any assistance would be great. I'm very empathetic, not very good at manipulating.
Ah, heck
Will
it.
be-
Yes, we are not those people. Ow.
Okay, you add 4 additional dice for all of your friends helping you as you face down this shimmering entity. And as he gets angrier, you notice that the gash in his neck becomes more pronounced, and his body sort of looks more corpse-like, almost like he's losing his composure and losing his grip on what is still tying him to his humanity.
So that's 3 successes.
Amazing. Yeah, you watch as this form begins to decay and his skin begins to sallow and sink, and that nasty gash begins to rot and fester in his neck. And as you talk, he looks around at each of you, and anger turns to confusion, and then to hesitance, and then finally to something like a wary hesitance as this begins to retreat. And once again, the rot sort of melts away. His neck seems to meld together a little bit more, so it's less disgusting of a gash. His clothing seems to re-knit itself together, and skin becomes plumper and more healthy. His hair is a shock of brunette, sort of soft, well-maintained locks. His eye is a very sort of piercing green color as he looks at all of you, guarded, and sort of takes a step back and says, "But if you're not, then who are you? Because you're like them. I know you are. You can't fool me. I know. I've seen what you've been talking about since you've been here, and you are like them. I know you are. You're like me, which means what?"
In speaking to Nora, you've been speaking to Sophia. You want your story told, and we're here to listen. We are like you, and we want to understand. We want to help. That's why we're here, to give you peace.
What she said.
Exactly.
Why?
Because you deserve it.
I just feel nice.
And
What
because
happened?
whoever came to you and put you in this position did a very poor job.
You deserve justice. You deserve peace.
Yes.
He sort of looks like he's considering your words, and he looks far more amenable to you all now as he steps a little closer to you all. And it's at this point that you hear a sort of shuffling sound behind you outside of the door of this place, as you hear limp feet being dragged slowly across wet ground, splashing through puddles and stagnant water. And as you look around, you see the asleep people of the Witch Cat, still in a dream state, dragging themselves forward towards the cellar. And as they do this, Oscar holds his hand up, shakes his head, and ushers them, makes a gesture as if to dismiss them. And they all stop. And still in this dreamlike state, you recognize all of these people. Jonathan is there, Olaus is there, the twitchy woman, who else? And the priest, now collarless, thank you, Ingrid,
You're
are all there.
welcome.
And as Oscar makes this gesture, they all turn with this slow, completely gormless gaze and begin dragging themselves back towards the inn. And he just says, "So you're not them. And you're not... But you are Thursday's children. Are you of the society then?"
That we are.
Wait, we are?
Well,
I don't know.
the society died a long time ago. These folk are trying to restart it the right way.
I live in a nice house now.
The right way.
If you'll let us, we will try and undo what they did to you and give you the respect that you deserve.
He sort of looks at all of you, especially you, Esther, and then looks down at the floor to where you saw the body get dragged below beforehand. He sort of nods. All right. Well, I won't lie. You are the nicest people, apart from Sophia there, that I have talked to in a very long time. And he sort of gives Sophia a awkward wave. And she does sort of peer over your shoulder and wave back.
I forgot child was there.
She's been very quiet this whole time. But he does sort of say, "Thank you. I do appreciate that. It's not pleasant being like this."
Understandable. We'll do what we can.
In that case, the people will be fine. They'll wake up soon-ish, I think. I've never really quite understood the things I can make happen. I just know that when I get upset, they do. And I can't always control that. I'm sorry for any distress I've caused. It's not my intention. I saw you come in and you... He sort of looks over at Selby. You look familiar, and you as well. And he points over at Father Pavel. I made an assumption, and I was wrong.
It happens to the best of us.
Just, if you're trying to restart that group, I was part of it for a long time before my death. Things weren't good back then. Things were not good at all. We were being killed. I don't know what happened. But somebody out there wanted us gone. Be careful.
We will heed your warnings well.
And he looks over at Sophia and looks back at all of you meaningfully and says, "Don't let Sophia into the stable." And with that, he takes a step back and once again melds with the wall and disappears outside.
Does someone want to go see to the stable? And Esther will kneel down and start gently sort of brushing away the earth from where Oscar was stood.
Selby will go with Ingrid.
Ingrid already
Father-
has a very sneaky suspicion she knows what she's going to see.
Okay.
Father, you stay, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm going to sort of stand over the body, or where I perceive the body to be buried in this place, and start sort of chanting things.
Okay, sorry.
Just in case, I imagine that the poker has cooled down a little bit by now.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Hands
Very
it off
much
to
so.
Father Poe. You never know. And runs out to the other two.
All right, so Esther, you are digging this grave up.
I think she'll also ask Sophia to get a blanket or something so that she doesn't have to watch us dig up a body.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, you very much send Sophia off to get a blanket, and she does so quite happily. She seems chipper far more chipper than usually would probably be expected of a child in this sort of situation. But she does very much run off and get a blanket. Father Pavel, you sort of supervise chanting sort of a hymnal from your Bible as Esther, you dig up this body. The others, you find yourselves over to the stable. Once again, like before, the door to this place is tight shut. It clearly is the case where this door has been damaged enough that it hasn't been flush with its hinges for a while, but the force with which it was shut has almost been enough to realign it with the frame. Underneath the door, you can very much see this one singular lamplight casting dull shadows. And behind this door, you can hear a creaking noise.
That's not right. I honestly thought that there would be no creaky noise.
Well, I think we're gonna have to open it to see what happened.
Are you armed?
Always?
Yeah,
I mean,
Selby
like,
has a massive rifle.
I don't mean like your
Gun?
limbs. I mean like, oh yes, that's what I mean. Yes, I would have that. Who else is
The
here?
gun I've been holding this
Dr.
entire
Anki,
time,
you
you
joined us
mean?
as well. Why are you here? Are you
Oh, I don't know.
armed?
Just for the love of yes, Ingrid, I do have a knife.
Oh great, so do I. I have two.
Okay. And do you try the door?
Yes.
All right. Easy enough. It's one of those where you kind of have to shoulder it a little bit, but between the three of you, especially you, Selby, you once again sort of get your linebacker position and shove it open. Swings open with relatively little fanfare, just sort of giving a just pressing creak as the hinges once again sort of slide away from it and the door once again sort of tilts slightly away from the hinges. The light is low enough here from the single lantern of the stable that sight kind of doesn't register what you're seeing at first. It seems to be that perhaps it's not the sight at all that clues you in as to what is going on here. Perhaps it's the noise, or perhaps it's the smell. At first, you hear the sound of wood creaking as load-bearing beams struggle to hold a weight they were never meant to support. And then with the sound of a rope straining with a similar weight, it combines to make a low creaking groan with every swing of the body that hangs from the end of the rope in the middle of this stable. Sammy's neck is contorted at a sickening angle. He's dangling there, sort of lifeless, gormless, mouth open, full of flies. Behind him on the wall is scrawled a message in blood, lit from beneath in nauseating fashion. And it reads, Pyrie the traitor.
Oh, well,
And all of you, please roll me a fear test.
that explains the creaking.
I am going to almost arrogantly assume that this dead body is in fact a human dead body.
How dare you, madam, absolutely.
Did you just assume his species?
And as such, may apply the I've seen dead bodies before advantage.
Gross advantage.
See, I was really hoping he was a VAESEN. Just so I could kill him.
Oh, science he cometh, one success for once.
Okay.
I got one.
Oh, Selby, oh dear.
Oh no, Selby, oh no.
Was not prepared.
Was not prepared for this. Yeah, this is a little bit much for you. You feel that very familiar thing from before. You feel that same grief and deep depression that comes from seeing the things that you have seen in your time, and you have never ever wanted to see anything like it ever again. Some of the things that you have witnessed over the course of your time with your specific band has made lasting impressions on you, and you find yourself retreating once again into that hopeless pit of a part of your soul that you've never quite been able to let go of, just the things that you've been subjected to in your short life. Despite the fact that you've not been around very long, my God, you've seen some things. And this is ranking in the top 10.
Fun. I'm assuming hopelessness.
Oh yeah.
Hopeless. Fun. Feel free to never call me to help you guys ever again.
Oh,
This
don't
is
worry.
fair. This is not what I expected at all. Can I look
I
I can
around?
deal.
Yeah, of course you can. Back over in the cellar, Sophia runs back in, sort of breathless, and she sort of has a blanket folded over her arm. Esther, you've managed to gather away enough of the dirt here, and it's easy enough to get to the body. It has been wrapped up in itself in sort of thick, heavy linens. But apart from that, not much has been done to actually sort of properly bury this person. And you bring out this corpse. It's a very skinny, lithe frame. You
I
sort of
think
have to fight.
She'll sort of send Sophia off on another errand that'll take her a while.
Yeah.
And then, Father Pavel, will you help me get him onto this blanket so we can move him out of here?
Certainly, my child. I'll bend down and help lift him out.
Okay. Yep, no worries. You begin to move the body of Oscar Hjort out, and I imagine towards the churchyard. Okay, and we will come back to you guys shortly. Those of you in the stable, please roll me a logic and investigation check, please.
Right.
Ooh, 1 success.
Okay.
2 success.
Cool. Investigation.
Investigation.
I failed everything again.
Ah, dear. All right, so we got 1 for Selby, 2 for the good doctor, and none for Ingrid. All right, so Selby, you look around. Ingrid, you're very sort of almost fascinated by the corpse here. You're sort of going around poking at him.
With the knife.
Not really. Yeah, exactly. You're not too sad about this man's passing from this world, and in fact, I think
I'm still gonna cut him down just because I don't like the particular.
yeah, you're more
Scenery.
intrigued as to how this has manifested in your vision, and you do cut him down. And the voice in the back of your head says, "Told you so."
Fine.
Selby, as you make your way around this place, you find that this specific stable is undisturbed in ways that stables should not be in an inn of sort of this size. Usually a stable is a very well maintained place in an inn. It's a sort of nervous system of the place, especially on an inn that facilitates travelers on the road. You know, you'd expect it to be in a state that it could receive guests that are usually arriving by horse. This place, however, has not seen horsey guests in a while, and it shows. Selby, you take your time to sort of examine this and come to this conclusion just as you, Dr. Anki, are looking at the blood on the wall. And you notice that the blood is way too old to be Sammy's. And more than that, Sammy doesn't have any cuts on him at all that would make this.
Well, that does seem to join up. So the stable has been untouched for a very long time. The blood is too old, and it's not his. He's not lacerated. Why did you cut him down?
Because he was making me nervous. He's like a weird ball, or a very annoying lamp.
Or it's just the nice thing to do.
I don't know. I don't seem like a nice thing to do kind
I'm
of
not
person.
I'm not great with people, but that's just kind of, insensitive to leave him lying there, hanging there.
Oh, the idea is not to leave him there so much as to, as long as he was hanging there, he was a preservation of whatever has caused it and easier to investigate. And because we were not going to leave him up there.
I'm sure if Ingrid got him down, he's probably just laying under where he was hanging.
Yeah.
Also, if you just want to know what happened, you could just ask me. I've already seen it.
You what?
I've
What?
already seen it.
What?
I've already seen it.
Ingrid, explain how you saw it, why you saw it, and how this has not been brought up until right now.
Yeah,
These people are
stop.
simpletons.
I know, right? It's just so stressful. I try telling these
Pathetic.
people and they just don't listen.
Oh,
I
tell me
think
about
I was
this.
staring at him for the longest time ever. I was waiting to tell him how he died.
That does make sense.
I know.
And it's sort of as Ingrid is having this conversation, you only hear Ingrid's half of it, by the way. So as far as you guys are concerned, she's fully talking to herself.
Anki will just give an askew glance towards Selby, then look down to the medical bag. You know, there are theories about this sort of behavior that I'm more than willing to share at some other time. However, what in everything, Ingrid?
What do you mean?
Okay, you were staring at him and you saw his death.
No, I saw his death before that. I was staring at him just to freak him out.
Oh, Of course you did. Well, in that case,
Look, honestly,
the next time you see somebody die who is not yet departed this world, it would be very nice of you to share this information with us, that we perhaps could do something about it.
why would we want to do something about this man? He was cruel. He was horrible. He was really, really mean to his wife and child. And his
Was that-
staff.
Was that what you were doing with the soup and the bones and the...
Yes, I don't like bone-flavored soup.
Oh, my mother used to do that. I'm very familiar. She's like a commune thing.
He's...
Speaking of familiarity, Selby,
Oh
please
God.
roll me. Please roll me your, let's say, empathy observation here, or logic and investigation, whichever's better.
We're gonna go with logic because I have 4 dice in logic and only 2 in empathy.
Okay.
2 successes.
Fantastic. You sort of take Ingrid in for a moment. You swear you've met someone who did this exact thing before. In fact, you know a couple people in the club who have this exact sort of oddness about them. And those specific people tend to be, when they're talking to themselves, they're actually talking to another creature entirely.
Look at Ingrid. I'm gonna get kind of close and just like really bore into Ingrid's face and give her a look of like, I get you. I've figured it out. But says nothing. So all Anki is seeing is like Selby's got his hands on hips, like looking real close at Ingrid.
Hello.
Has like the very knowing look of like, I've figured you out.
Hello. Can I help?
Always so fucking clever, aren't they?
Tell me about it. She's gonna be rubbing this one in for weeks.
Probably.
Ugh.
Who's gonna be
would
rubbing what? I'm not gonna
Let's
finish
not
that
answer that sentence in question because that is awkward and there is a dead man on the floor.
As Ingrid, you say this, you hear outside as your friends are moving towards the church, sort of beside the stable. You hear sort of them chatting to themselves in low tones as they are moving this body.
Right, that. We should go do that.
Who'd have thought that a man that had been dead so long was still so bloody heavy?
All right, yeah, fantastic. You guys all sort of gather outside of the stable here and begin to make your way towards the church. You all find your way to it easily enough. The trees are very thick around here. The actual foliage seems to crowd in on itself, especially further back into the tree line, as though the forest itself is forbidding entry to anyone who might try it. You do actually notice a lot of the boulders as you walk by they seem to almost watch you as you move, but you kind of try and brush off the feeling as you head towards the church spire in the distance. It's not far, maybe a couple of 100 kilometers, and it's a very old, sort of gothic-looking building, kind of decrepit, but nowhere near as bad as the Witch Cat. If anything, you would think that this building is maybe 200, 300 years old and has been maintained by the local community as such. The graveyard is sparse but well maintained itself. It's very respectfully dug plots. A weeping willow sort of cowers over on itself, hunched over, trailing its leaves down over this place as the starlight begins to fight through the clouds above, and you all find yourself standing in this graveyard with a body.
As they're carrying it and as they're walking, I think Esther's like, I think before we bury him, we should probably get Ingrid to look him over. You said that there was some magic as well as the unconsecration. We should probably try and undo that, just in case.
This could be fun. Let's see now. What can I do? Let's look at the trusty rulebook. That would be a great start.
For those of you who are trying to ascertain any mystical elements about this body, please roll me your logic or empathy, and your let's say logic and learning if you're going logic, or empathy and observation if you're going with empathy.
Okay, so we're going empathy
I'm gonna
and
do that.
observation.
I'm going to use my +2 advantage from last game.
Great.
And use a logic learning.
Fabulous.
Yes. I'm sure there was some book up in the castle that mentioned something akin to one success.
Unfortunately, logic is outside my wheelhouse, it would appear today.
Funny that.
Father, you never.
Two
did you
successes.
Ooh, fantastic.
3.
Did Father leave his logic back at the castle?
Yes, it would appear so.
Oh dear. It's a common predicament, I hear. As you all sort of stand there, you take your time to examine this body. Who got 1 success? 1 success from Anki? 2? And anyone above 2?
I got 3.
Oh wow. Okay. Shit. Let's go in order, shall we? So, Dr. Anki, you look over this body. You're not too sure. Nothing super mystical or odd jumps out at you. You do notice that very clearly this knife wound in the throat was obviously the cause of death. But what you do notice about it specifically is that it has been expertly done. Whoever did this was no amateur at killing. This was quick and efficient and brutal. On 2 successes, Esther, you do remember that as you were sort of examining this body, you're like, no, there's something else here, there's something here. And you sort of tilt his head back and forth and sort of try and get a better view of what you're dealing with. And you do notice that from his nose and mouth is an odd black residue. And as you sort of feel it between your fingers and try and get an idea of what it is, it's tar. Some sort of, no, can't be tar. Sap, maybe? Maybe tree sap? And you get the idea that is maybe, if that's not what was part of the ritual here, you'll eat your own hat. That has to be part of it. Selby, you take it 1 step further. You do know that often tree sap that has been in some way corrupted or fucked with in some way to make it almost noxious in and of itself is often used in binding rituals.
I'll go ahead and just state that, like, oh, that's tree sap. It's if you let it turn, or if it gets noxious, it's used in binding rituals. My mother taught me that. That one stuck.
Oh yes, I completely agree.
You also know that often it is found on the corpses of those who go on to become revenants.
I'll add that information.
What's a revenant?
Like dead that come back.
Yeah, you know what it is, Selby.
Yeah, that's somebody who's
Yes.
died, who's come back essentially.
Somebody who's died who's come back completely.
So bound to their body, bound to their bones, bound to this world, never to find another home. Beautiful. I would be upset as well.
Can we
As
figure out a way to unbind him?
Do we just scoop it all out, or?
As you're sort of all discussing this, Esther, you hear a familiar voice behind you that says, "Well, I personally think you're doing a great job." It's Oscar, and he's just sort of appeared and he's materialized behind your shoulder.
Oh, hi.
Sorry,
No,
I forget the non-corporeal thing sometimes.
no, it's all right. Well, we appreciate your support. We're doing our best not to do anything, untoward. We're just trying to help.
I haven't even robbed you.
Thanks,
Ingrid.
Ingrid.
I believe my friends beat you to it already.
Is there anything specific that they took from you?
Yes. I had a journal. They took that. It was mostly my own investigations and my findings when I worked with the society. I don't know what they did with it.
Maybe it's somewhere here with Pavel's things. Oh, Pyre's things. We could, sorry, not Pavel. Pyre's things. We can look later,
Also,
maybe.
double check when we get back to Castle Gillinkreutz and check if it might have made its way back to
Well, I think they may not
library.
have put it there if they wanted to burn down the castle.
He
Are
nods.
your-
who knows?
It's worth a look.
He sort of nods briefly and then puts a hand kind of on your shoulder, Esther. And with his other, he mimics almost the view of your hand, merging it with yours slightly, and brings it up and points at the shed across the way, across the graveyard, and says, "You will find shovels in there." And sort of fades once again into the mists.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go get a shovel.
The next time he materializes, I will forego all dignity and just shout questions.
You should not do that. It's rude.
Okay. Esther, you do go over to this shed, and easy enough. There's no real lock on it. Sort of in a local rural community, they don't really get a lot of robberies of church graveyards. So you are able to sort of lift up the latch and go inside, grab a few shovels, and come out.
Not robbing, just borrowing with intent to return.
Exactly. And between the lot of you, you do manage to dig up this ground and lay the body.
So is there any way to unbind him before we, bury him?
Do I potentially know of any way that I could do something fun?
Yeah, roll me. Let's say, what skill would let's hand this over to you, Stacey. What would Ingrid use? Do you think? What would their magical or mystical abilities derive from? Do you think?
Well, she's a medium, which uses observation first and foremost. So probably, because I feel like it would be a very empathic approach to it. It would be very much about feeling the energies and trying to separate his from the bind itself and just trying to get them to be separate. And maybe she would even either try to trap the binding or put it on something else, because she doesn't know if she can just destroy it. It's a thing that's been created, and destroying something's usually quite a heavy task. So she's going to just try and move it from one thing to another completely unnecessary thing. Perhaps a tree.
Okay.
So the tree is always there and will come back as a revenant tree.
Wow. Okay, roll me empathy and observation then.
I was so waiting for you to say my name then.
I'm just going to say that
Right?
at some point this village is going to have a Christmas tree that's going to be pissed.
For sure. Yeah,
Made
Father
an
Pavel's the
end.
big bad. Father Pavel's absolutely the big bad of this game. Yeah, you all thought he was a player, more fool you. You sort of ruminate on this for a moment, Ingrid. You do sort of as they're laying the body, you sort of investigate a little further into what may be keeping this revenant here.
Stick a finger
And
up
you
his
do
nose.
actually, you're sort of thinking about it and mulling it over, and then you sort of think, wait, no. The ritual itself to bind a revenant, the only reason it works is because the body itself has been desecrated. The revenant will be free as soon as they are buried in consecrated ground. There will be nothing else holding them here. The magic on the body, however, you know that that's something different. You just don't know what. You know that this will solve the revenant problem. You're not sure if this will solve the other thing, but you're not sure what the other thing is.
All right. I have come to a conclusion, and I would like you all to listen very carefully.
We are figuratively all ears, Ingrid.
I'm glad you specified that was a figurative all ears. It would have been very odd if you were all, literally all ears. So, if we put him in this ground, because this ground is consecrated by... Yes, it goes in the ground and it will be fine. However, that'll only fix one of the problems.
There are more than one problem here.
Oh, yes, there's more than one problem here. It's very obvious. See, it's right there. The problems are right there. There's two, at least.
Which problem would be solved if we
The one
buried...
that binds him to this very earth.
And what's the problem that wouldn't be resolved?
Well, now, see, that's, I'm getting,
Ingrid, you hear a voice in the back of your head that says, "This cannot be solved here today. This is bigger than all of you."
The planets, they're not right. Mm-mm. Stars, can't do it.
Can't do it. Not today.
Not today.
Come back tomorrow.
Take a number.
You know, I am more than happy to know that Ingrid has studied her astronomy than to accept. I can accept anything now. Today has been a day of learning.
And we are learning that Ingrid is very talented. Yes.
Okay.
Well
so
done,
I'm going
Ingrid.
to give you a
Yes.
biscuit.
Well done.
That's a
Ingrid.
stretch.
Ingrid gets a biscuit. How are you all conducting this burial, by the way? Is there any specific ways in which you would like to declare you're doing this?
Once again, I think I'd probably stand and say some words from the Bible and read from my book whilst holding my little cross on my chain, whilst the others sort of lower him in.
And if it is appropriate also, Father, I think it is worth mentioning that other than the safety of his eternal soul, we can solemnly vow that we will see whatever the sickness of the previous society may have been is something that we seek not to repeat.
Here, you
I
might
agree,
need
most
this.
definitely.
I hand him the collar that I was wearing. I don't know if he's wearing one, but I'm handing him this one as well. I don't know, maybe double the collar, double the power. She doesn't know. So she's just gonna...
Maybe the
She
collar
was
is where the
doing
power
so
comes
well.
from, you know? Absolutely.
And I'll point and say, Ingrid, I already have my own, thank you.
It's like emo kids and chokers. Maybe if you layer them up, they gain more power.
Yeah.
Please take it. It's really itchy and doesn't go with my outfit.
Maybe you should
I
return it to
take
its
it.
rightful owner, Ingrid.
As they're all talking like that, Esther will just sort of like be stood quietly and just sort of say, relatively under her breath, "Well, this is all we can do for the moment, Oscar, but hopefully you'll find peace and we will come back and try and resolve everything else."
So as you say this, Esther, you feel a warmth around your hand, as if someone has just taken your hand. And it doesn't feel like that cold, foreboding sensation that you've come to know from the Witch Cat Inn. It feels like a warm, friendly gesture of someone who is very grateful. And they take your hand and give it a squeeze, and you hear Oscar's voice in your ear, and he says, "Thank you." And then you feel this presence leave, and all of you feel this as almost there is a dissipation. There is a moment where it seems like the entire area is holding its breath, waiting for something to happen. And as the final shovelful of dirt is laid down on this grave, there is a and a dissipation and a release, that the entire area seems to settle back down and retain its calm once more. The wind seems to settle, the rain stops, the storm clouds part to reveal starry skies ahead, and the forest. This is something you perhaps weren't paying too much attention to before, but where before there were no sounds at all of life around for miles, the chittering and scuttling of the sounds of forest wildlife slowly begins to return to the Witch Cat.
Great. Pigeons. What is it with pigeons and churches, Father?
I'm sorry.
Pigeons. They always seem to hang on churches.
Yes. You always find lots of wildlife in churchyards.
I was going to say that's probably the first pigeon that's sat here in quite a while.
So you all sort of make your way from the church back towards the Witch Cat. You hear from within as you get closer. You hear the sounds of people moving around in there. You hear Sophia exclaim something. Someone else reply. Seems like a couple of voices chatting.
It would probably be a good idea to identify these people, so let's do that.
I would like to call Tova over.
Yep, Tova sort of bounds over, looking over at you, Esther, first to check if it's okay.
Go on.
Yeah, and then she does bound over to you, Ingrid, and sort of licks your hand and trots along happily beside you as you guys once again enter the Witch Cat. And you do so just in time to sort of see sleepily people wiping the nap away, wiping the sleep away from their eyes. They look around confused and concerned and look at each other. It's like, what in the world happened? They're sort of chatting, and Anjali is just saying, "Oh my goodness, I drifted off mid-shift. Look at me, I'm a mess. My apron's all crinkled. Oh my goodness, this will never do." And she's sort of bimbling around trying to get everyone drinks and things and keeping everyone a little more well-fed and trying to keep everybody calm. You do notice as you walk in and you see Sophia and Anjali trying to keep everybody's level heads in the game in this inn. Olaus is nowhere to be seen.
That is a pity. I owe that man a blade.
Before we go all the way in, Esther will sort of like go up to Anki and be like, "So, what did you find in the stable?"
Reason enough for Sophia probably to leave this place and never return, in the shape of a dead Sami.
Right, okay. What are we going to do about that?
Well, that I think is technically speaking not our... I hate to use the word responsibility, but I think that with her talents, the city life might perhaps be more agreeable to her, even if this place may now have a chance to heal. I may or may not be suggesting that we offer her a place in the castle until further notice.
That may be a good idea, especially if she can see what we can.
She's a Thursday child like us.
Are we adopting a child?
She's an orphan now, so she doesn't really have anywhere else to go.
I mean, we don't know for definite that she's an orphan. I mean, it's pretty heavily implied, but maybe Nora will come back.
Well, if so, we can definitely leave something behind for her.
Yeah?
I think Nora might be dead.
I know, but, you know, there's always hope.
There isn't.
There isn't. Trust me, my sources tell me they're not. However, what isn't dead is this brilliant collar, which would look fabulous on you.
No, it wouldn't.
Okay, maybe it wouldn't.
Ingrid, the man might want that back. It will seriously the village integrity for the priest not to have found his collar. He's found his calling, yes, but you know. If you want, I can pretend to have found it and he'll drop it and make up a story that will embarrass him.
It's fine. Ingrid wanders over to wherever the priest is.
Yeah, he's still sat at his table and he's just continued drinking his drink. It just looks thoroughly unbothered by the entire situation.
She just sort of stands there and just goes... just hands it back.
Thank you.
You're
I won't
welcome.
ask.
She then totters back off.
Oh boy. He just sort of sighs and goes back to his drink.
I think Esther is going to go upstairs and collect all the notes from that locked room
Okay.
and then keep the door shut so it takes people a while to figure out there's a hole in the wall.
Yeah, easy enough. You gather up all the notes and everything else and gather once again back downstairs in the common room of this place. And Sophia walks over to you all and says, so, I mean, that was kind of a lot. But it seems everything's, well, less weird now. I don't feel Oscar anymore. I don't think he's here now.
Does that make you sad?
A little.
Me too.
Well, although that in itself may have been dealt with for now, there are other things to consider of which your opinion would be very highly appreciated, Sophia.
Can I mention something real quick?
Yeah.
I want to pull Ingrid, or I'm sorry, I want to pull Anjali aside and on the DL, like away from Sophia while they're having this conversation.
Yeah.
Like, not to alarm you, but we found Sammy in the stables.
Oh goodness. Oh dear. Oh dear. Like. Oh bloody hell. All right. Well, I should go and probably deal with that. I'll go and deal with that so the young miss doesn't have to.
I think the others are going to ask her to stay with them. I think. So she should have a place to go, hopefully, if she wants.
Right. Where are you all usually based then? I'll
They're based in Castle Gillenkreutz.
Oh, I know that place. Lovely. I went to Uppsala on holiday once. Quite liked it myself. No, you see, all right. Okay. Well, that seems fine. You all seem like stand-up people. So I'm sure that'll be arranged. I mean, poor girl doesn't really have anyone left anymore. I mean, I've only been working here a couple years. I've got my own kids to worry about. But no, I'll go and deal with this Sammy situation. Thank you so much, love. You're a godsend, all of you. God bless you. And she does sort of pat you on the arm in a motherly fashion and bimble her way towards the stables with a purpose.
We've known this child for a few hours now, and if anything happens to her.
So she has no external knowledge of this happening whatsoever. Something inside Anki just breaks upon this brazen violation of the crime scene once again.
Yep, for sure.
Selby!
Dang it. As you're all sort of looking around and pondering and going over your options, you sort of notice outside as the sky is beginning to lighten at this point. You have worked through the night on this case. It's maybe about 6 a.m. You know that the wagon back to Uppsala is maybe half an hour away.
Grave digging is hard work, apparently.
I
Father,
would
you
like more food. The biscuit was not enough.
Sophia just says, I think Anjali may have just gone out into the garden, so I'll go and get something.
Nope.
Okay.
You're coming here.
Okay. She sort of like stiffens slightly as Ingrid gathers her in. She's like, okay, this is happening
been
now.
a difficult night for all of us. We can more than happily help ourselves if you just point out where.
Okay. There should be stuff on the
Incidentally,
stove.
Your performance was very impressive, especially for someone of your young age.
Thank you.
On behalf of all of us, I have a small question and possible proposition for you, Sophia.
I do let her go so she can sit in her own chair.
Yeah, she's like, thanks. Yes?
Well, considering what has happened here, and with regards to your simultaneously best and closest and at the same time perhaps not necessarily most natural friend departing, but also your considerable talents, how would you say to take your show, so to speak, on the road to a bigger audience and perhaps into Uppsala?
Uppsala? I'd love that. I'd love that. I think Mum talked about that place sometimes. She mentioned it was a place that was mentioned in the notes she found from the Pyrie guy.
Precisely.
You should bring them all.
Oh.
I think Esther is on that particular task, Ingrid.
Oh, all right, I will calm down.
If there is something written down, Esther will have gathered it with before too long. That is usually how she operates.
That's fair. She's nice.
That she is. She is very much the little semla bun that keeps us all together.
Someone
I
has to
think.
be, because it's not me.
Noted.
I'm the salted licorice of this entire situation.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
You all sort of keep up this chit chat for a little while, sort of decompressing. You get food, you get maybe a stiff drink in order to sort of have a rest and bring yourselves back into some semblance of calm. You heal 2 of your mental conditions as you do so, and you feel a little bit better. Over the course of this time, enough time passes that you hear the click and trundle of horses outside. You hear the quiet whickering against the morning air of horses moving a wagon across uneven ground. And as you go outside, you do see that familiar wagon winding its way past, and it does stop for you as you all come outside.
You know, at this point, I'm pretty regretful that I did not actually appropriate his journal instead of his blade. Ah, well.
That's Esther's job now.
Not that journal.
Which journal?
Our mysteriously absent benefactor and person who brought us here.
He means... no, wait, he does not mean Oscar.
I do mean Oscar.
Oh,
I
you
do
mean
mean the hair Clint.
Clint.
Yes.
Olos Clint.
That's not Oscar.
No.
Olaus. It has been a very
Olaus.
long night, and my mind is slightly frazzled.
Well, if
Mine
I do
too.
say, if I do say for myself, I feel like our first exposition as a team went very well.
Aren't you just a cupcake?
We all seem to
Semla.
have the correct amount of limbs, which is always
Just-
good.
This
And he
raggedy
hasn't-
man just glaring at you all from the wagon is just like, where you headed?
Uppsala!
Home.
Oh, you're those. All right, whatever. Hop in. I can't be asked.
I'll hop in.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I pay
Okay.
the man.
Is Sophia coming
Not
with
in
us?
priest.
Yeah, Sophia's there.
Okay.
Once again, she's very much sticking close to Esther as you guys make your way out of here.
Oh, did we bring her things?
Yeah, she sort of has. She doesn't have a lot on her. She sort of ran away to pack as you guys were having your decompression time, and she comes back with like a small rucksack of personal effects. In fact, the biggest, most clunky thing that she appears to be carrying is a sack full of what appears to be sort of mechanical equipment and cogs and gears and various shenanigans. She appears to have disassembled her entire shadow theater and brought it along with her.
Oh, I love
Nice.
that. My heart.
I'm sure we can find a room to set that up in.
I'd like that. As you all sort of trundle into the back of this wagon and begin to make your way back to Uppsala, it's a far more cordial journey than it was on the way here. Sort of the morning air of Sweden is brisk and chill, and there's almost a little bit of frost clinging to the ground in places that signals the oncoming grasp of winter over the land. But you sort of shrug off the chill, pull your cloaks tighter about you and make your way back to Castle Gillencroots. Sort of make your way up the driveway here. You all are greeted once again by the very familiar hulking figure of the castle. And as you all go inside, the fireplace is sort of alive with warmth, greeting you. From the kitchen, you can hear the sounds of pots and pans being moved around and smell the salty broth of some sort of stew that's cooking in the hearth. As you go inside, you see through the open door, Algot Frisk, your steward, who's bustling around attending to various duties. Sort of doesn't seem to have noticed you yet. Selby, please roll me your logic and vigilance, please.
Ooh, my favorite. Can I use the advantage I get for having Bjorn with me? Because hunting dogs give me an additional.
Of course you can.
Of course, got lots of dice now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Holy shit.
Nice.
Bjorn is a +3.
Oh my god.
He's very familiar to you. This individual's oddly familiar in a very unsettling way. You think that maybe you don't want to be here anymore when he turns around.
Frisk?
Yep.
Okay. So as soon as the coach drops everybody off, I'm going to stick my hands in my pockets. Well, one hand in the pocket, one hand on the gun. After eyeing Frisk a little bit, I think this is where I'm going to say my goodbyes.
Leaving so soon.
I have sent you a message on Discord, Leia.
Oh, it popped up, believe me.
Yeah.
He was like, whoop.
All right, bye-bye. See you tomorrow.
No. I think I'm gonna go back and got some things I need to go take care of. And you have another guest to orient to your beautiful home. But I have things that I need to take care of.
Oh.
I totally
Alright.
understand. Things to take care of.
Yes.
It was Father Padwell, wasn't it?
It was most definitely not your priest.
Oh, all right then. That makes a change. It's not you.
It was wonderful meeting you, Selby, and feel free to return. And we'd appreciate your help anytime. Or if you need our help, maybe.
If you ever need me, feel free to not give me a letter at all. Ever.
Or if you want to set up a play date with Tova.
Noted. You can always give, if you want to correspond with me, you can give letters to Dean. He knows I get mostly weekly packages, or whenever I stop into town to pick up my letters and stuff for the butchers and whatnot.
I will not write.
That's fine. We'll use smoke signals. That's more comfortable for you.
It's more of a fact that I probably forget. Not you, just to write.
I don't. Okay.
It's
Selby seems to not care either way. Write me, don't write me. I don't care.
Whatever.
I'm just setting expectations, Don't sit there by letterbox being like, where is Ingrid? And I'll just be all
I'm not.
lost in a tree somewhere.
You certainly know where to find us.
Certainly, I absolutely do.
And your addition to the expedition was very much appreciated.
Of course. I do want to leave you with some words of wisdom. As I said yesterday when we got to the Witch Cat, this is an important place. This place means something to Uppsala. It might not be the same thing for everyone. Yes, the town is going to assume that you're devil worshippers. That's just going to come with the gig. But to people who know what this castle is and what it means, you have an obligation to those people. Have a healthy skepticism, but know that you guys have a incredible responsibility to this city. Uppsala needs this place because of people like Oscar. I need you to promise me that you're going to take care of this place. The gods forbid my mother finds out that this place is going to hell, and she will come down from Stockholm, and it will not be pretty at all. She'll find out, I swear, and then I'll get hell for it. And I really don't want to have that conversation with my mother. So please, promise me you'll do right by people like Oscar. Healthy skepticism. Yeah?
We shall.
Anki? Like, eyeing Anki a little bit.
In as much as any of us are able to determine what is
Dr.
doing
Anki
right by
promises.
anyone. Ingrid,
Yes.
for once, yes, you do have the capacity and permission to speak for me in this matter.
Dr. Anki, she promises.
Okay. Thank you. And be safe.
You too.
Likewise.
Hi.
Indeed.
Selby will like ruffle Sophia's hair a little bit, like awkwardly, like
Yeah.
this is how you react with children.
This
right?
is a child thing, yeah. Just treat them like a small animal. Usually
Yep.
works.
Yep.
Yeah, she sort of giggles as you do this, and you make your way away.
I walk off into the sunset.
It's an epic guitar riff plays in the background.
Yep.
Put on sunglasses, pump your fist. Absolutely, for sure. As you all sort of march into the castle after this long day, discard your possessions, hang up your coats that are covered in grime and damp with the driving rain that characterized your last night, absolutely all exhausted, you all sort of begin to reacclimatize and take a well-needed breather at your home in Castle Gillencreuts. Is there anything that anyone would like to do as a closing act?
I'm gonna help Sophia find a room.
I literally just dive off of the wagon and straight into the kitchen to find Frisk so I can tell him all the things that have happened and how hungry I am.
Okay, all right.
If anybody has any desire to speak with me today, please do not, for I am going to put myself at rest.
Okay.
And picks up a compact of sleeping pills.
Yeah, knock yourself out. Absolutely.
Yeah.
No worries. All right.
Yeah.
Get it.
Likewise, I don't really have anything in particular I'd like to do other than probably go and have a long rest and have a sleep.
Yeah.
Make sure that Ingrid doesn't draw anything on you this time.
Great.
Yeah, locking my door behind me.
Damn it.
Fantastic.
It's about 3 a.m. if you wake up to like a
Damn it. And it's sort of like, in this familiar and yet comforting chaos of Castle Gillencreuts, as you guys begin to bring yourselves back to the natural order of things, that you sort of show Sophia around the castle, Esther. And it's as you're in the library showing her around, you are sort of moving some of the books around as you do this, sort of looking around and surveying nearby things.
Secret room, secret room.
One of the books, you move it away and you see that behind it, one of the slats is protruding ever so slightly, not flush with the wall. As you press it, it swings back on a hinge that latches itself directly in the middle as it swivels back to reveal a lever behind this plaque, and you reach in and pull it. And as you do so, you hear the thunk of gears and mechanisms long unused that are being forced into place. There's a grating whirring noise of rusted gears as they turn and creak, and then the bookshelf swings inwards to reveal an entirely new library. And this one clearly hasn't seen the light of day in decades. This place is multi-layered and multifaceted, and the bookshelves wind together in such a way that makes them seem out of skew with one another. They form odd shapes that don't quite form the shape of the room itself, but make their own intricate spiraling patterns, as though it's some sort of labyrinthine maze.
It's so much better than a secret room. Secret library!
Yeah, you
Esther
guys
gets
earned
very
a lot-
little sleep. She goes straight in there.
You guys earned a lot of development points that purchased you an upgrade to Castle Gillicroots, in this case, the secret library.
Nice.
Yeah, Esther, I imagine you sort of call everyone in, and either way, everybody, as
After
you
several hours of not sleeping.
absolutely.
I was gonna say, you have to physically rouse Anki from chemically induced half coma, so yeah.
For sure. I mean, either way, you guys heard that whirring and cranking and creaking. It was not quiet. And you sort of go through all this place. And the thing that you notice most about it is that whilst the outside of this library, the library proper, is more sort of scientific investigations and studies, journal entries, the outward investigations of an unscrupulous society who are ready to document everything with proper citations and such like. This room is a little more on the theoretically occult side. It is a vamped up version of what you saw in Nora's room. This place has books in languages long dead, the tongues of which have long since been forgotten. And a fair amount of them, whilst almost illegible, you feel like if you ruminate on them long enough, you could probably find out things that people haven't seen in a very long time.
Cool.
Just not going to
Cool,
sleep
cool.
for weeks.
I wish to smell.
So you
every book.
definitely will, if I will have to strap you down and feed you things to make you do so. Otherwise your brain will rot and you will have no use for the books, and why am I still awake?
Probably find us slumped in that secret library just asleep on the books.
Fantastic. And it's at this point that you guys, we will bring the session to the close as you all sort of find your way into this secret library, this new, as of yet undiscovered part of Castle Gillicroots. And as we draw away from our players for today, you will feel that warm sensation of the castle maybe accepting you a little bit more.
Finally, someone wants to be my
And
friend.
we will leave it there. We will leave it there for today, ladies, gents, and those who lie betwixt. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been phenomenal to have you all in chat. I hope it's been fun, players. I hope you've all enjoyed yourselves,
Yes.
despite the considerable trauma. And Selby, I'm so sorry, but I'm not really.
Right at the end. You had
Right
to
at
drop
the
it on
end.
me right at the end.
Right at the end, exactly. Maybe one day the players will figure out exactly what's going on there, but it is not this day.
Maybe.
We
Oh,
won't. Come on now.
my heart.
My personal
My
theory
heart.
is that Algot is simply an extension of the castle and is returned to haunt us all. He comes with a package.
Maybe.
Hey.
Made of
But yeah.
bricks.
Made of bricks, exactly. But yes, thank you so much everyone for watching and playing and coming along and hanging out in the Mythic North. I appreciate you all. You're all fantastic. Thank you once again to our wonderful guest, LEIA Robertson. You've been phenomenal.
Yeah,
Such
thank you.
an absolute delight
Oh my
to
gosh.
host you on
It-
this show.
It was so amazing being with you guys. You guys are amazing. I loved every second of it. Oh, I love you guys so much.
No, I'm gonna miss
Uh,
you.
I hope we can have you back in the future on many Band of Badgers shows so that we can see
Yes.
more of your glorious face.
I'll be here next week actually in Band of Badgers.
Really?
Yes,
Where
I'm
are you?
doing brush off next week.
Oh, hey, nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
brush off on
I-
Well,
Mondays.
vote for me
on
then.
Monday. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone rock up to Great British Brush Off on Mondays
Yeah.
here on Band of Badgers to see more of the glorious LEIA. Well, that'd be awesome.
Huzzah.
Fantastic. Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We will bimble away for the evening. I will let you all
Nice.
enjoy your nights. And I'm going to go and sleep for a year. I love you all. I'm going to go plan. Secret library! Secret library! Good night.
Ciao.
Bye.